mafuta is due. It's high, and our people are suffering. This is an international phenomenon which is happening because of some war in the Middle East. But we are going to approach our government. We are going to approach President Ruto, and we also have our Minister of Finance here, John Badi. We are going to talk.
And that's the news. I'm Sheila Tembur.
.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Every time he kept on saying he wants a vibrant opposition.
How does it make sense that public money has been used already and then they dare to sell it back to you? Why are they not giving them for free?
That's how broken we are. That's how broken we are.
They're being sent home now for fees. They're going to fail to prepare. We are compromising the futures of these children.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Parliament has got powers. Let me break it down. The National Assembly can initiate an impeachment of the president.
This same National Assembly.
Yes. That's our constitution.
This is just a continuation of the previous administration, which Ruto was part of. President Uhuru himself openly said that we're losing 2 billion daily. Daily. I mean, come on. Are you saying that we don't have a central bank?
If we look at Kenya, both public-private sector, that figure is ranging between 30 to 40%, right?
I think it's clear that the government of Kenya is living beyond its means.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Baba should disown these experts and say they went there on the, because he keep on telling us that these experts just came from Dubai and he found them there already at State House looking for jobs.
Government has to has to introduce austerity measures. It's something that this government and the previous ones have not been able to do in this country. We've talked about it so many times.
And really, I think you have seen the modus operandi of William Samoei Ruto since he came in. It's just showbiz.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary
that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody is human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, stagi kuongea. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's already Monday. It's already the 18th of May. If you thought that it was going to go any slower, it isn't. It's the 18th of May. It's Monday, and it's already 12 minutes after 6. Monday's here. Are you feeling blue? Are you feeling bitter, black and blue? Let me tell you, there's also always something to look forward to. And I just keep going and going. Dennis Aseto, good morning.
Ukoaje?
Mimi niko salama. Kufiri? Nimefurahi kukuona.
Lakini nimewamiss.
Kweli.
Haki ya Mungu tena.
Wacha niku out mbele ya watu.
Ni out.
Hata siku moja hawajanitumia message kusema we chick nakumiss.
I know.
Ama I call you, how are you?
I know.
I was just waiting. I waited Tuesday.
I know you were waiting.
I waited Wednesday.
I know you were waiting.
I waited Thursday. Friday. Wacha ni bebe hii beef yangu sasa.
Beef.
Saturday. Sunday. Then leo ulingoja mpaka uniona asubuhi ndio kaniambia tu miss. Miss leo.
Kwa sababu mimi na wewe tunajua mambo venye ilikuwa. Nikasema hii ni one-on-one. Because I knew. If you know, you know. If you know your person, you know. Some things you don't handle by the phone, bana. Men, unasikia? Ukisikia kimeumana, hapana tuma message. Go. Kama unapigwa, you can grab them, put them on the wall and say, baby, you see, this is what happened.
Excuse me.
So I'm going to say it slow.
Just say sorry.
So on the said days, something was happening, but that not decided me to say I'm sorry.
He has apologized.
So baby, I'm sorry.
Very good.
Yeah.
Don't do it again. No matter what. I don't care if the mountains are falling into the sea.
Or transporters have decided not to transport me.
That's not my problem. It's not my problem.
But you're well?
I'm okay.
Good to see you.
Nilienda nikangolewa meno. So today, you just have to bear with me.
Okay.
If at some point I'm talking like an old lady, it's not because I'm an old lady. It's because I'm still trying to get used to the thing. And so I'm going to go after 6 months to have a crown put in.
Okay.
But my teeth were growing into my bones. It was causing me a lot of displeasure. So the offending tooth had to be removed.
Yep.
But I'm still complete.
Like I told you, baby, I'm here for you.
Thank you so much. Well, you'll not make me blush in the morning. I'm standing steadfast.
Anything for my baby.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Evie, good morning. How do you say I've deflected? I am not to blush this morning.
Yeah.
Okay. Kupwa?
Salama shukuru.
Okay, very good. I'm glad to see. Don't let them overwork you. I'm saying this now in front of everybody and anybody who can hear me, and will now take it to the bank. Nimesema mbele ya watu in front of the world. Do not allow yourself to be overworked. People only treat you the way you allow them to. Yeah. I'm going to be blasted later for it. It's okay.
It's okay.
No.
It's okay.
Thanks, please. If he is in fine form this morning, she doesn't admit it, but she is.
She is.
We're going to get there. And she's, fine. Sips tea. Good morning, Joy B. How are you? I know you're there somewhere. Mutanu is just coming in. Where? Mutanu shouted at us last week.
What happened? You didn't send the photo?
We were delaying to take the picture. And she shouted.
Yes.
And she said, hey.
How was she shouting?
This is how she shouted. Pictures!
Please line up.
Pictures!
Arrange yourself.
Exactly.
You are too.
So that was her shout.
Yeah.
That was her shout. Kusalama, I'm glad. Okay. Right. We're getting into it this morning and quite a number of conversations that we're going to have. So let me let you know what those are going to be. In the Situation Room this morning, live and coming to you, SpiceFM KE on X, on YouTube and on Facebook as you get into it with us this morning. And a very good morning to our audience on KTN this morning. So we've come off a weekend where people had a lot of things to say, from Friday and then getting into Saturday and then Sunday. People had comebacks, and part of those form our conversations this morning. We're still on Game Plan 2027. It will be a feature that keeps coming back on the Situation Room. And we'll be looking into achieving the 50+1 threshold. Who's doing what and how are they doing it? Dr. Peter Mbai joins us as Secretary Planning of Economic Affairs of the DCP party. Dr. Luchetu Likaka is a governance and security expert, and he joins us. Together, they will have that conversation on Game Plan 2027 with us at 7 o'clock. Right? The State of the Nation. Professor Kivutha Kibwana is the former governor of Makueni County. We're looking at fuel prices, a shifting political landscape. Let's have a look at what it looks like from that point of view, from someone who understands what governance is all about. Dear Mr. President, at 9 o'clock, the country is at a standstill. As of this morning, we don't know how folks are going to be able to move from point A to point B, because there is a nationwide strike. I don't know if to call it strike, protest, downing of tools of vehicles.
Just combine them. Basically, they've just paralyzed transport sector.
That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Transport sector has been paralyzed. Does Kenya have a public transport system in the first place? It does not.
Nope.
But that's not the conversation that we will be having. But for all intents and purposes for this conversation, public transport is at a standstill today. It has ground to a halt because folks have said, no, we can't do this. The price is just too high. How are we going to be able to survive? So we'll have that conversation at 9 o'clock today. And we know that the streets are silent, the streets are still, nobody's moving anywhere. What does this mean? It's going to be an interesting Monday, folks. So that conversation gives us an opportunity to find out what's going on. We'll probably be joined by some of our folks, the Standard Group reporters, to tell us what's going on the ground, if anything. And then we'll have the conversation with you as well. So that's what it looks like at 18 minutes after 6 o'clock this morning. Dennis Aseto.
Yes.
Nduh, Okoh with you this morning in the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. Let's talk this morning and get things moving. Sawa.
Yes.
We left Eswatini. Tuko wapi wiki? Gabon. Okay.
Gabon. Yes. Over 85% of Gabon's total landmass is covered by lush and dense rainforest. So they have protected wildlife where national parks cover roughly 11 to 13% of the country, providing safe havens for an estimated 80% of Africa's lowland gorillas and significant population of forest elephants. Yes. But let's go to the proverb. The proverb this morning: to one who does not know, a small garden is a forest.
To one who does not know,
a small garden
is a forest. Because I guess your world is I'm just trying to imagine that your world is your world without taking anybody. Can you imagine what a garden is? If you believe in those mystical creatures like fairies and gnomes, can you imagine what a garden is to a fairy? It would be like what the forest is to us, huge, vast. And you cannot dictate my experience, essentially. And that what may seem like something huge to me or something small to me, it may seem otherwise to somebody else.
Exactly.
So I guess you can't dictate my experience, or rather, you can't dictate my truth based on your experience. It has to be based on my experience. And so a small garden to me would be the world, and whereby it would be a forest to somebody else. It could be small to you, but it could be everything to me. So what it is to me is based on my truth. So I guess maybe a word of caution for us not to stomp on people's truth. Take into consideration everybody's thoughts.
I'd look at it from the other side, where we look at ignorance, even if it's the smallest, would in one way or the other blow up things out of proportion. You know what I mean? Like in the sense that there is a problem that perhaps needs easy fixes, but because one wants to blow it out of proportion, it becomes a big problem. Yet all you needed to do is to say, I'm sorry, I take fault. I'm sorry, I'll fix it. I take recognition that I did not do it to the level that you wanted. I will rectify, or please show me how to do it.
Yeah.
It's like an engine. It always speaks, tells you how it's feeling.
It tells you basically how the vehicle
is. You ignore it, before you know it, it's now a big problem. You have to change the entire block.
Wow. Well, I mean, it's one to learn, one to watch for. I just, so many things to learn every day.
Exactly.
It's 21 minutes after 6 o'clock. Watch it to Salome and watch tonight. See that folks are in the room this morning. Let's just say hello to you. Tuned in from different parts of the world, the country, the region, everywhere that we look into. So thank you for being here this morning. Let's say a quick hello to you as we get into what's going on. I'm sorry, I sound a bit distracted, but there's just so many wheels that are not turning at the moment that we're probably going to see a lot of children not go to school today. Not this morning, and a lot of buses are not picking up children, and that's just an update that we're seeing this morning. So if your kids are still at home, the likelihood that the buses might not come, because how do people get to where they're going? And we know for a fact that drivers don't take buses home. So there's just a lot of wheels that are not turning as of 6:20 this morning, just because we know that transport is unavailable to many people, and then to be able to pay for higher transport also is not something that a lot of people have. So we're going to be patching in and out. I know EVE is on standby for some of these things, because just to find out what's going on the ground. But I'm just getting, messages back and forth here about who is not able to go where for whatever reason. So we'll just keep updating, and also do tell us what's going on in your neck of the woods, so that we have an idea about this, because these are some of the things that we talk about. So it's necessary for us to do. So let's talk about that as we get it. We'll do it a little bit differently today, because obviously it's a different kind of day. Let's say hello to you this morning. Tuned in is Peter Kiari. Says everything will work out in the end. Absolutely. You don't need to know how. You just need to trust that it will. Kabisa. Well, I think there are many people who needed to hear that this morning. It will work out. Whether you're in that space or you're in another space, it will work out. Thank you very much for that, Peter. Good morning. Good morning. Robert Mbogo tuning from Mombasa. Nyakundi Emmanuel says, good morning, Team Spice. Good morning to you. Luhimbo is tuning in from Dar. Spice is like Steve Biko's black consciousness notion, or Paulo Fiere's emancipation idea. Well done, Duranko. Thank you so much, Luhimba. Thank you for tuning in every morning. We keep talking, but thank you for being here. Good morning, Team Spice. Pauline Githaiga is tuning in this morning. Good morning to you. JB Mutua. Good morning, Spice family. Greetings from New Jersey. As I prepare for bed, I'm checking in on you guys today. Let's not give up. Together, we can steer the wreck ship to the shore. Kabisa. Hey, you guys got the memo from heaven this morning to keep us all encouraged and to keep going at it. Prince Alvin says, good morning, Team Spice. Sifuna endorsing Onyonka in Kisi. Big hit to Arati. I'm telling you, the words that you speak, wow.
Yep.
That was quite something. In terms of him saying that in front of everybody. Everybody now saw a different opportunity to do something. And it would be interesting to see if his words are listened to. Tibbs Muge tuned in this morning. SpiceFM team, a variant of Ebola detected in DRC in Uganda. Yes, we saw that over the weekend. That medical surveillance is up in terms of that variant. And the folks just need to be careful once again. Joseph Akondo says, good morning, Team Spice. Jimmy Wanjigi was on yesterday. Yes, he was. Joining Safina party. We must slay the odious debt. I hear you. Isaac Ale says, good morning, Spice team. I hope our leaders will discover fuel prices are not just numbers on a spreadsheet. They are school fees, rent, and survival. Have a mobile day, won't you? Isaac Ale, you're right, man.
Yeah.
So I just try to imagine at this point, how many different operations are shutting down this morning? Not are shutting down, have shut down.
Have shut down,
this morning. There are children who are still at home because we know that some children leave really early to go to school. They're at home. People showing up to work is a miracle for some. I know some of our colleagues this morning who have come in. Are unable to be here this morning. Some who have come in for early shows have already left because how are you going to move later? Bwangi Juma says, good morning, Team Spice. How are you all this blessed Monday? Everything happens with a reason. Let's walk to work. Nobody will remind you over how many terms? Abby? It's true. Good morning, Eric. Awara says, good morning to you. Tuning from Chile, Mombasa is Joseph Okondo. And Boba Coco says, good morning, Team Spice. Listening in from Kendo Bay, Nduh, yes. When is the last time you had an angst? Like, for shouting? Well, bitter, black, and magenta. Aseto karibu. Guys, bring my Jimmy Wajigi on the seat. I had an angst. It's been a while, but today I can't shout. Because if I shout, I'll rip the stitches in my mouth. But I hear what you're saying. I think we have one every day. They're just a little bit more mellow. But Aseto is back, and he's already got the merch, guys. Tindo, you're working on it.
You saw it, yeah?
I saw it. Aseto is here. He's about. It's not going to take him too long to say it. So just hang on. It's coming. I trust it's coming. Rogers Lai says, good morning, Sabal Heri Team Spice. Kenyans must rise against this fuel issue. Otherwise, Menda. Wanda, good morning. Tuning from Toronto. Good morning, Nduh and Aseto. Did you get new microphones? I love the pink. Please pray for Congo, Uganda, and all border countries so that the Ebola outbreak will be contained. Yes, we see. A while ago, new mic. They're called pop filters.
Pop filters, yeah.
But they've been here for a minute. This Ebola thing is a bit scary. The medical surveillance will actually pick up is what is absolutely necessary. Dr. Venvik says, good morning. Kindly, Mombasa people, tokeni mwende job, public transport in operate kama kawaida. Okay, if it's working, get up and go. Look, I say if it's working, get up and go to work.
Get up and go to work, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Bernard Nyaberi says, hey, Spice, if my grade 4 girl knows that fuel in Kenya is expensive than in Uganda and people are defending it, saying a pregnant mother with twins 9 months is not pregnant and it can be seen. Okay.
Could I love it?
Kabisa. Mutuflani says, good morning, Princess and the gentleman in the squad. Good morning to you. Tembea na Yesu. Amen. Hallelujah.
You know that's actually a song.
It is.
Tembea na Yesu. Amen. Tembea na Yesu. Amen. Hallelujah. Amen.
Amen.
Ukienda kazini. Tembea na Yesu.
Okay, so amen. Hallelujah. Paris Mudhoni says, good morning, John Dennis, sending you lots of hugs. Hey, me Kwanzaa, I need it.
Yeah.
And wishing this Monday won't be depressing from these politicians. It's a prayer. Hesbon Sidon says, good morning. It's been a minute. It's been estimated that government will lose revenue worth 1 billion shillings today. Parents are advised to be with their kids at home. Aseto, is that true in Sinakuru?
Hey, it's true.
Sinakuru is Singapore?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that at this point, keep your kids at home because what the drama is going to happen. You guys, I don't think we realize a lot of children go to and from school with public transport. True. A lot of them.
Yeah.
Just I'd say, you know what? Keep them at home. But the problem, I can't say keep them at home because then a lot of parents who would keep these children at home go to work and they don't have alternate care for these kids at home. Do you see now? I'm sorry, I take it back. I can't say keep them I can't.
Because keep them
then,
at home,
and then
parents have to stay at home.
Yeah. Somebody's got to stay at home. And it's an extra cost if you bring somebody to be a caregiver. You know what?
I was actually thinking about it. And I think, for a very long time, we've offered private solutions to public problems. So the government of Kenya today is telling you that we're going to hike fuel prices. Private solutions, what will they say? It's expensive for us to operate. Perhaps there's a time when government of Kenya came up and said, we are getting into public transport, offering public solutions to public problems so that when these fuel prices go up, it is upon them to see how their citizens go to work, how their children go to school, because it is the responsibility of government to bring me to work in a secure way, in an affordable way, in a sure way, and take me back home, so that when it's coming for my taxes, right, I can say, you help me go generate that.
Yeah.
You can't just keep taking, and not offer something in return. I am sorry.
Are you only speaking to the government of Kenya?
Expert Opiyo and I, Transport CS, Mr. Chirchir, Iwafikie, President William Ruto. I know he's in Azerbaijan. He's attending a meeting in World Economic Forum.
Yes.
Please, when you come there, see how Azerbaijan is doing it. I know you were in Italy. How did they do it? Macron was here. How is he doing it? These are lessons you need to learn. We know you danced Kasarani, all those things, but please put the boots down and work, man.
Sina kitu ya kusema juu na nishasema. Hey, kabisa. Let's greet the last few people this morning as we get into it. Christina, good morning. Remind Mbadi that it is a public, not a boardroom participation. Its MPs and all Kenyans in the constituency should be engaged in the same way we did during Gachagwa's impeachment. My sister, I agree with you completely. I agree with you. It doesn't matter if you want to chest thump, if you want your ego to come out to play, whatever it is that you want to do on that particular day. Truth is truth, my friends. That there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and we're spending a lot of time politicking and not doing the work. Remember I said I can't shout today.
FCPA.
Hey.
John Mbadi. Unachoma.
Jamani.
Unachoma.
It's just... Anyway. The angst might come sooner than later. A very good morning to you. Richard Odera tuned in from Mikindani, Mombasa. Nairobi Garden is Singapore to some Kenyans. Sindero, Young Jedi, good morning. Nduh Dennis, happy new week. Is it happy? Asanteni for always showing up. Looking forward to an insightful week. Thank you very much. Kipro Teach Brian, good morning. It's Rono tuning in from Eldoret. Good morning to you, Gekota. Tune in, good people. Princess Nduh Dennis, EVE. These experts who are donated have decided to be campaigning instead of working in the offices, just thinking. Tune in from Miami, Florida. Isa says, Polly for the truth. Thank you so much. I know how it feels. Thanks for showing up in the room, though. Tunakuombea. Thank you so much, Isa.
Yeah.
Morning, Nduh, everybody. Orange from Austin, Texas. A very good morning to you. Kuna mandamano leo kweli? Hii mandamano iko kwa nyumba ni kama. Tunakutana wapi is the question you're asking, Miriam. My name, Natalia, says, gardens must look like forests to bees. Mustn't they just?
Yeah.
And Vintage Oak says, over the weekend, I reviewed a Situation Room Spice clip 6 years ago. Nduh then looked crazy young. What are you trying to say? Are you trying to say I look old now? I'm just going to take it like that. Eric, Nduh, a little time. Happy how you become confident and assertive over the years. Okay. All right. We'll keep that in the pocket. Sawa. Thomas Osora says, I'll be happy to see how it goes. Sir Gerald says, good morning, Princess Nduh, Master Dennis, EVE, and behind the scene people and all spices. It's going to be a long day, no matter what. Let us keep hope alive, because hope does not disappoint. It rarely does. Celestia says, good morning. Chaya stage ni tamu. Wacha masaa ifike tutumie wadosi video hakuna matatu. That's the real situation. As humorous as that is, it's the truth. Ayenda Derek says, good morning, Team Spice. Now traveling has come a luxury, and the elite. Ruto should reduce State House budget, and his convoy should be reduced drastically to put money in subsidies. Yes. Creative Amondi says, good morning, and Aseto, the Bible says you will walk the land and till the field. It's time to walk the land. Yeah. I'm glad you put the peace sign there. Because folks are about to eat you up, my friend. Bishanga says, good morning. Private people offering solutions to public issues. That's it. Heike says, good morning, guys. How is M3 to Matatu to CBD? There are none. Just letting you know. My prince, Hamjambo Wapambe.
Mpambe, how are you?
What's okay?
Warembo.
Oh, Bash. Thank you so much. Good morning. Elisha Morano says, good morning. Tunavumilia kwa Wakenya. It seems another one. Robert Mbogo says, very few PSVs in Mombasa. People are stranded. Mtuflani says, wallahi, I missed Aseto. Shut up, Mwenye. Shut up. John Murray says, good morning. Gen Z here. Ruto must go regardless. Gen Z, good morning. Bangi Juma says, for reasonable government, it was time to have an evening press to at least let Kenyans understand why there's fuel hike and the solution. This rain will continue to beat us indeed. Yeah. I think that there should have been a community. There should have been communication.
There should have been a communication.
I always say that in a crisis situation, one of the easiest modes of handling is communication. If you're not talking to people, to tell them what exactly is going on, because that's what you do. It's like the rat that bites your toe and then blows so that you don't. It does it so that you don't notice it there. There's something that communication does that, even though it's not solving the problem, it keeps you abreast of what's happening. And I'm not just talking to the government of Kenya. Yeah, I've said it. I've said it. Good morning. It is 26 minutes to 7. Let's take a break. Let's take a look at what's happening on the roads. I don't know that there will be much traffic, but we'll talk about it in a bit. Everybody that comes into the room and leaves a comment, we love you. Thank you for joining us this morning. We'll keep talking as we go along. And we see your comments, keep them coming in. So let's have this conversation together. We'll take a quick break, look at weather, traffic, and then come back and look at the headlines. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
The rain came down the entire weekend. We'll have a look at what's happening in Nairobi today. We'll see partly sunny conditions, but into mostly cloudy this morning, currently at 16 with a high of 24. We'll see a high of 25 in a sunny London, in Nakuru at 14, and it is mostly cloudy at 15 in Njeri, 19 and sunny in Kisumu, and 17 and sunny into Kakamega. Mostly sunny at 24 in Mombasa, and it's 26 and sunny into Malindi, 19 and sunny in Marsabit, and we're looking into a partly cloudy Kampala at 20 and a sunny Dar es Salaam at 23. It's 10 degrees and cloudy into Johannesburg, and at 26 it's cloudy into Lagos, 9 degrees and cloudy in London, and at 24 it's cloudy into Beijing, 26 and clear in New York Sunday night, coming into Monday with a high of 30 and a low of 22.
Chilled Spice.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. SpiceFM.
Spice up your life. Traffic.
All right, taking a look at what's happening on the roads this morning, and not much. We're not seeing the normal traffic that we would at this hour. Then coming into the city, especially coming off the Thika Superhighway, that doesn't look too bad for now, and it's finding its way slowly but surely into the city. If you're in the CBD, we're doing okay. To be honest, there's really nothing happening on the roads as there usually would be at this time. Even at the famous Pangani underpass, it's straight through, all the way through and through. Keeping an eye on all of this. Let's talk. Keep things moving. SpiceFM. KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
This May, unlock endless drama every single day on Star Times. Unrivaled stories, characters you can't forget. Recharge your monthly subscription today. More love and burning romance on Come Back to Me. Heartbreaking betrayals on Just Revenge on Novella E+. More secrets on The Brave on ST Swahili. More twists that leave you breathless on Gangs of Manila Season 3 on Novella E. Now on Nyota Bouquet on Ariel and Nova Bouquet on Dish. The drama never stops. To renew your subscription, dial *858# for self-service or get in touch with our call center on 0719-077-077 for customer care. Buy a StarTimes decoder at any of our dealer shops countrywide. Download the StarTimes On app to enjoy all your favorite shows and stream live channels on the move. StarTimes. Enjoy digital life.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
If you're just tuning in this morning, 23 minutes to 7 o'clock, this is The Situation Room. We're looking into headlines this morning, and we're going to stand on business and start on Kenya's bold newspaper, The Standard. The headline here is Head in the Sand.
Literally.
Head in the sand. The picture here is of President William Ruto, and it seems, well, he's got his head down. I can't say if that's in the sand. But as public anger grows over the record fuel price spike, President William Ruto and Energy CS Opiyo Wandayi have buried their heads in the sand, hoping the matter will resolve itself. I don't know how that would happen, but okay. But transport operators have vowed to paralyze travel across the country today to force a response, warning that rising fuel costs, heavy taxation and unstable pricing have made operations unsustainable. In the meantime, the president has flown out of the country. while senior officials remain detached, issuing conflicting explanations and defending contested fuel import policies. Charles Nyambuga, who is a political analyst, says as Kenyans struggle with soaring commodity prices, electricity bills, school fees and unemployment, critics question why the man in charge of the country's finances appears more visible in political rallies and odium wars. Okay, one would imagine that perhaps he wants to look at the fuel crisis.
Leave that one alone.
Oh my God, because
There
you
is
laugh.
no expertise there. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you invite mirth when you lack anything else to say. East Africa's fuel pricing variance exposed region to global shocks, experts say, and 12,000 SACCOs face axe over missing returns. Ooh-wee. Looking at other stories, top officials bury their heads in the sand as high fuel costs spark anger. And I think that's the overall feeling today, that, you know, you're going to cripple an economy. I don't know how much has been lost so far, but you have an economy that really, in some cases, doesn't sleep at night and starts really early in the morning. Especially people who are moving across the country and folks who are moving goods and services. So I don't know, the economists will be able to tell us in very short time how much has been, you know, lost already. Fuel price hike pushes up cost of basic goods. We will see that rise. If we've seen that already come into place. So, Gideon, and I'm not talking about the one with the fleece.
Yep.
I'm talking about the one who is the national chairman of KANU, Gideon Moi. He says, I will tell you the truth about the Ruto deal. Hiking fuel prices sparks fear of countrywide transport shutdown. Well, it's not a fear. It looks like it's a reality right now. Jubaland forces stay quiet as locals threaten to take up arms. The locals are telling you, remember we had a conversation here with Wajir South Member of Parliament, Mohammed, and he said to us, these people are here. It's not a whether they're coming or they're actually here. So locals are saying, well, if you people don't want to do anything about it, we're going to arm ourselves and protect ourselves.
You know, I just don't get it, man. How do you have foreign forces within your territory and just sit pretty over it? That locals are forced to step in and eject foreigners who are armed within their communities and are killing them. Why is KDF in this matter?
Where is KDF?
Where is KDF? Where is the cabinet secretary for defense?
Why is it allowed that you have, because Jubaland forces are a group coming out of South Sudan?
Yeah.
If they come into the state and operate in this manner, who allowed them in? Is there an agreement that says they can be there?
Question. Yeah.
Could that be why there's no appetite to perhaps push them out?
If you're not seeing KDF respond, because we know that is the role that KDF ought to do, defend the country against external aggressors, who gave the communique for them to stand down and allow this to happen? Because then again, we're talking about a region that has KDF camps to handle security. So who allowed them in?
Absolutely.
Who gave the order?
And somebody knows that they're there.
Yeah.
Somebody knows that they're there. That's the truth. So, if you didn't know, a gentleman called Felicien Kabuga passed away.
Yes.
Okay. After many years, Felicien was being looked for. Hi, Evie. Felicien was being looked for the longest time. Now, Felicien was also part of the Rwandese government pre-genocide times.
Yes.
And he was accused, charged with genocide, rape, all kinds of things, that he funded a lot of the activities around the genocide. He'd been in hiding for years. Many said that he was here in Kenya. It was alleged that he was here. He was in Uganda. He was in DR Congo. He was all over the place. He was finally found a few years ago in Paris. Hiding in an apartment somewhere. Nobody would have known. And then he was arrested and brought back to Den Haag for the trial. Well, guess what? He's dead. And the question in this headline is there closure for genocide victims as Kabuga dies before trial ends? And the answer is no. I don't even know how else we can say it. Peter Robinson, who is the Kabuga Family Counsel, says during the period when Kabuga was a fugitive, the ICTR prosecution froze the applicants' bank accounts and assets. The applicants challenging the freezing of their assets in courts of France, Belgium, and Kenya. Okay, so that's been long drawn out. 1994 to 2026.
Yeah.
How many years is that? And he's dead now. So what happens to justice is the question.
Yeah.
Partnership of equals. Macron has no Africa's interests at heart. No Africa. Well, that sounds interesting, that headline. But yeah, that's taking us into the opinion pages.
Yeah.
Quite a number of things happening that we'll discuss. There's just an unsettling feeling about a lot of these things currently. But we'll come back to that. I'd urge you to get a copy of the Standard today if you can get out. But if you can't, get the Standard e-paper. You can subscribe to that real easy and you'll get all of these stories. Jennifer Atenyu, what? Your guy is back and I didn't say good morning to you. I'm very sorry. Please accept my heartfelt apology.
Apologies.
I beg your pardon. Jennifer Atenyu is in the house. The man is back. And your greetings to him have been noted.
Amepokea.
All right.
Are you okay, Jennifer? Because that neck of the woods, it rained heavy. To the Daily Nation, eh?
Yep.
Now, Kenya risks U.S. sanctions over Russian war. Here's the headline. Now, 2 U.S. lawmakers have introduced bipartisan legislation seeking sanctions against foreigners and governments accused of facilitating the recruitment of Africans to fight for Russia in its war with Ukraine. Citing Ukrainian intelligence, the bill says at least 1,400 citizens from 36 African countries, including Kenya, are fighting alongside Russian forces. Remember, there's a time Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs, who's also a Prime Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi, went to Russia, and there was that conversation that Kenyans who found themselves fighting for in the Russian war would be repatriated back home. We later saw that government of Kenya said it does not have funds to repatriate these Kenyans from Russia back home. Because remember, Lavrov as well, who is the foreign minister for Russia, said they would not cater for anyone who willingly joined the war to be repatriated back home. So that was either they pay for themselves or the government of Kenya to do that. Now we're seeing what is happening in the diplomatic circle. So if Kenya finds itself being accused, what would happen and how would that affect Kenya's relations with the other countries?
Exactly.
It's coming home to roost. Protest over high fuel prices set to disrupt public transport. It's not set. It has already disrupted public transport.
It has.
But like we've said, let's call it private transport. We've never really had a public transport.
It's not.
The only public transport that exists in this country is SGR and the commuter rail.
And even that.
And even that.
To an extent.
To an extent. Yes. Right? So that's where we find ourselves. And again, tell us how the situation is on the roads. Are you able to move? Are you able to go to work? If you're unable, where are you? And how's the situation? Why allocations to Hustler Fund seized now? Budget estimates tabled in Parliament show there is no allocation for the flagship program in the next financial year, with officials saying it will instead be funded through loan repayments. One asks the question, and this question must be asked, how much has been dispersed through Hustler Fund? What's the return on investment? How much has been paid back? Or rather, how much has the public lost? Because remember, there was a 50 billion shillings vote that was given to this Hustler Fund. Where are we with that? It is not just a question of there is no allocation. We need answers to know where that money went to. The government of Kenya must explain to its people where the 50 billion shillings went to.
Yes, you must.
You must.
I'm actually tired. Because there's this notion that because you're in a position of authority, or because you're in a position of leadership, that you can lord things over people and then not give an explanation for that thing that you have done.
No.
I'm sorry, I don't care if you're in managerial, if you're whatever, leader, head honcho of the roost, president, whatever, leader of the world, whatever. That the people are the ones who have given you the mandate to do 1, 2, 3. Explain to them.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. You told them that this was going to be available for 1, 2, 3. In the event that it doesn't happen, open your mouth in the same fashion you opened your mouth to tell them it was available, and tell them that it cannot work so that they understand. But this thing of I'm the boss, so therefore I don't need to tell you, it's a sin.
It doesn't cut it.
It's actually a sin.
It's
criminal. Don't do that to people.
Do that.
It's wrong. And you can talk about, there's government and there are layers too. No. You can talk about, there's hierarchy in organizational structure. Rubbish. Tell them.
Because by the time they're making these decisions now that they would not do it like they were doing before, is because they have information as to why this is happening. But here's the thing. The government of Kenya is the greatest consumer of data and information. The government of Kenya disbursed 50 billion shillings to Kenyans. They have all those messages. They know who applied for this. Question is, how much was given back? How much has been paid back? How much has the government of Kenya, the people of Kenya, lost through this hustler fund? We need these answers. You'll not just come and tell us, so this one didn't work. Now we are going right because what we are going left, it didn't work. You need to as well come with receipts and tell us exactly what happened so that we tell you if we approve your next move or not. Just saying. Just saying. Yeah. But mimi si FCPA, but this kidogo math and business that I studied in school, idea. I'm not FCPA.
Throwing shade, I see, Mr. Aseto.
Now, so page 3, page 4 and 5 is that story on Kenya risking US sanctions. We have page 6 and 7. Joy as varsity staff to receive much awaited salary arrears. Now, 3.9 billion shillings has been set aside to clear lecturers and university workers' salary arrears dating back to 2017-2021 CBA. Here's the thing. How about we just don't accumulate all this debt?
In the first
How
place.
about you just pay people? How about you just pay people their pending bills? Because you're talking to almost 1 trillion Kenya shillings in terms of pending bills. Just don't accumulate debt. Don't. It is a good story, yes, but how I look at it, we shouldn't be here anyway.
My question also is, are they going to actually clear the thing? I know that there's a statement as to it's going to be cleared, but are they actually going to clear the thing?
Here's the thing.
That's what they've said they're going to do.
That's what they said they're going to do. 2017-2021 CBA. This is 2026. A lecturer who served in 2017 needed that money in 2017. Nasema tu. Now, Raila Junior Tumbadi. Stop disrespecting my family. Raila's son says while they respect Dr. Oginga and his leadership as the family of the former ODM leader, they want more involvement in the running of the party. Mimi yonaachia hapo. Family business, we'll just handle family business. Yeah, I don't have much to say, man, because, Kindiki now wants appeals court to strike out doctors' evidence. So this is in the Gachagua versus Kenya case that is before the courts. Now, the successor wants the doctor's evidence to be thrown out. But I love that doctor. RG, based off doctor-client privilege, I knew who he was. If you ask me who it is, I'm going to tell you who it is.
Exactly.
Lawyer. It could be Ronald Gishenga. But in this case, it's not. Just ask me and I'll tell you. I loved it.
I think it was fantastic because I think he's gotten to the point where nyinyi amtanitisha.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, isn't it great when you get to that point of self-actualization where, what are you talking about?
What are you saying?
It doesn't matter who you are. That's the same thing I was saying a few minutes later. It doesn't matter who you are.
No.
There's a particular point that I have reached that it is the truth that I am speaking.
Yeah.
You want to now put me in a box because of where you are? Never. Don't play with me.
This is the point where that guy was like, this learned friend, I'm also a learned friend in the doctor's field. So ask me.
I'm
here. Ask me.
Ask me, I'll tell you.
I know what I'm saying. I'm not saying. Try play law here and there, but that was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Right.
Now, new system to curb birth certificate fraud, PS says. Now, hospitals expect it to immediately notify civil registration services of birth. So that is there as well on the Daily Nation page 8. Tuangalia the star real quick.
Yeah, let's look at the star real quick. High fuel prices put extra strain on homes and traders. That is what is on the front page this morning. And just a bit of, I think we're getting a lot of messages coming in from schools. Schools are temporarily closed today because of this. They're not quite sure. So just a rider to that previous statement about how a lot of students go to school via public transport and come back. Not just them, but the adjunct staff who are, responsible for certain processes to happen in school will not be able to go to school because of the transport system being down today. So a lot of schools are closed this morning, just getting in a lot of that. They'll be staying home. The price at the pump is what is causing all of this. And looking at other stories that are making the way to the front page of the Star. Cooperative society set for digital overhaul in new reform agenda. And Oburu says, we've tried a Mount Kenya Pact, but it has never worked. Oburu said, we tried, but it's never worked. So, something else. Okay. Postmaster Nduh speaks on the race to save the postal giant. Excuse me, to save? It's not done? Do people still send letters by post? People send letters like P.O. Box 3000. People still send that? I'm shocked. But I guess there's still a race to save it. I thought it was, down the drain already. But okay. Kenya on high Ebola alert as Uganda confirms one case. That's a big story because we know what Ebola can do.
True.
Investors on alert ahead of Equity's Q1 results. We know that we're getting into the time where audited results of different organizations are coming out. The banking sector seems to be following one after another. US-Israel war hits hard as high fuel prices threaten economic slump. So we're looking at this morning, and I just thought something, and I thought that it's not just people who are not able to afford fuel, but guess what? If they're not going to buy it, that means the folks who have it are also not going to be able to make a sale.
True.
Nobody's going to buy the fuel.
Tell you what.
Yeah.
On the day when the new prices were announced, and I just got to call out all the fuel marketers that we have in the country. Stop with the BS, man. Just stop with the BS. You know why? Because on the very day I remember I was here, we left. We tried to fuel at petrol stations, knowing very well that these petrol stations have fuel. But these
guys,
yes, said we do not have fuel. You know what we did? We parked in that petrol station. It hit midnight, and these idiots opened the fuel station and served us.
Yeah.
We gotta call these people for who they are. This is nonsense that is happening in the country, and the government of Kenya, even as it does this, needs to go around and ensure that Kenyans do not suffer because of what they are doing.
Yeah. It's true, because Kamanya was here. He also said the same thing. He was like, he tried to fuel maybe at around 9:30, because by then they know IPRA has already announced in certain circles that this is going to happen. And so they knew that by midnight they would change the thing. So maybe at around a few minutes to 10, tried to fuel, didn't happen. And then at midnight, you see, the prices have changed, and suddenly there's fuel.
And Nduh, what would happen? I would not be surprised to say that even this entire week, the fuel that Kenyans have been sold for using the new prices fuel that came using the old prices. So where exactly is fairness for Mwananchi when it comes to accessing this? There is a group of people in this country who are benefiting from all this mess. The government of Kenya, as you're bringing in this fuel, please revive national oil, because there you're able to control the prices. You're able to control how these things move. Again, you can't offer public solutions through private means. I am sorry. It can't.
I hear you, man. And I mean, I'm just looking at you and I'm hearing the pain. Sometimes we don't actually understand or recognize how bad it is, guys. And there's an interesting point here also on the front page of the Business Daily. KPC directors are divided over Uganda role in CEO hiring. Excuse me? Why are you confused? Why are you divided? this was one of the prerequisites to having Uganda come in and take over the divestiture of a certain number of the shares from KPC. I don't understand. Don't come and tell us you're divided. Don't come and tell us you're confused.
Just say it.
Just wake up and suck it up.
Shut up.
How are you divided?
I know.
You said that the reason why you're going to allow Uganda to buy a certain number of these shares is so that they would have a say in who chooses the next CEO. Hello? We read it. In fact, we asked that question here.
Yeah.
We said, excuse me? One of the reasons as to how they're going to choose the next CEO, because Uganda now has bought a number of the shares. Essentially has bought a number of the shares, just putting it in layman's language. Then now you want to come and tell us that you are divided. You cannot be divided. Imagine you're not. We have decided you're not divided.
Bona,
Stop it.
You're not divided.
You're not. You are not confused. You are very clear on what it is that you need to do, and you need to hurry up and pick a new CEO, because we know that former CEO Joe Sang is out in the cold for whatever reason. Imagine you're not divided.
No.
You're not confused. You're not. You've woken up this morning. You know exactly what you ought to do. You are not divided. Sawa. So hurry up, pick the new CEO, because these were the rules that you guys gave to the rest of the country as to why.
Let me tell you, Nduh, this is a point where if this was a war and someone is bleeding, please wipe your blood and move on.
In fact, be walking with your broken leg.
With your whatever. Man.
Stop it. Don't tell us those things. We don't want to hear. In fact, we have decided this morning that headline, if we were doing it so that we can feel sorry for you, no. Imagine you're not divided.
You guys are together.
Just okay.
Sort out your issues.
You guys are fine. There's no Allah. There's no problem. In fact, there's no problem, KPC. You guys are absolutely fine. Sawa?
Bwana hii.
At that point.
Kidonda ya kujidunga. Atuambi pole. Kuleni dawa yenu.
Hivyo.
Kugopa.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the news. I'm Sheila Tambor. Several schools have suspended classes today amid a nationwide transport strike and planned protest over rising fuel prices, which are expected to disrupt school transport and public movement. In a joint statement issued yesterday, the Transport Sector Alliance announced that no vehicles will operate from midnight on Monday in protest against high fuel cost and the rising cost of living. The strike is expected to affect public transport, cargo services, ride-hailing, border borders, school buses and private vehicles across the country. Opposition leaders led by Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka have criticized the recent increase in fuel prices, warning that it will worsen the cost of living for Kenyans. Speaking in Rai, Kalonzo described the fuel hike as unacceptable and called on Kenyans to unite in pushing President William Ruto's government to address the cost of living.
Nairobi sio Strait of Hormuz. Tunajua ulaghai, wizi kila kuchao wa serikali ya Bwana Ruto. Kitu inaitwa G2G. Tafuta vile utateremsha bei ama gharama ya maisha. Na tunajua hawezi.
The opposition leaders also questioned why fuel prices in Kenya are higher than those in neighboring countries, despite some of those nations importing fuel through Kenya.
William Ruto, utuambie kama wewe sio mmoja wa wale ambao wanafaidi kutokana na nyongeza hii ya bei ya mafuta. Tuambie kwa nini bei ya mafuta Kenya ndio iko juu zaidi katika eneo hili lote la Afrika Mashariki na Kati.
Meanwhile, DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua, who is on a visit to the UK, urged Kenyans, including those in the diaspora, to pressure the government to reduce fuel prices.
Tomorrow, all fares will go up and consumer products will also go high. So we need to get back home and come up with a strategy on how to put pressure on this guy and see whether he can get some sense into his head. It's very difficult.
Gachagua also said the united opposition plans to hold talks aimed at fronting a single candidate to challenge President Ruto in next year's general election.
The only formula to get rid of this character is having one single presidential candidate, and that will happen. If the formula does not favor me and it favors someone else, that person will have my unconditional support to the president.
tutaungana na tutatoa kiongozi mmoja. Huyo mmoja ndiye tutaweka na tupehakikisha kwamba tunamuunga mkono zote, tupeleke William Ruto nyumbani.
Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen says the DCI is pursuing suspects linked to the attack on Rachel Wandeto, who was allegedly doused with petrol and set on fire over her political stance. Murkomen condemned the incident during a visit to Wandeto at Kenyatta National Hospital, warning against rising divisive political rhetoric.
We must be able to deal with this, punish them severely in such a way that no one else will repeat such an act again. There has been speculations around the possibility of political motive, basically attacking her for her political beliefs. I want to ask again to caution all the political leaders in their political rhetoric to stop inciting the people of Kenya and radicalizing people and hiring and using goons and gangs to attack other citizens. But regardless of whether it was political or not, no citizen should actually ever go through such kind of torture.
And that's the news. I'm Sheila Tembor.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Parliament has got powers. Let me break it down. The National Assembly can initiate an impeachment of the president.
This same National Assembly.
Yes. That's our constitution.
This is just a continuation of the previous administration, which Ruto was part of. President Uhuru himself openly said that we're losing 2 billion daily. Daily. I mean, come on. Are you saying that we don't have a central bank?
If we look at Kenya, both public-private sector, that figure is ranging between 30 to 40%, right?
I think it's clear that the government of Kenya is living beyond its means.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
I am also a publicly elected official.
Okay.
My salary is paid by your taxes.
Yes.
So if you need me to answer questions, we will not run away from you.
Asante
We will always be here.
The government itself is engaging in corrupt practices. That the government itself deliberately schemes to influence through bribery members of parliament.
You pay for a passport online. Alafu you're told there are no booklets.
I rebuke matters corruption, because corruption has brought this country to its knees.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Members of parliament, they go to settle, they just promised they get given tea, mandazi, and 100,000. That's not development.
External borrowing, 589 billion. Are we on the same page? What did parliament pass?
If anything happened to our president today, God forbid, that man would become president. Na ndio alilenga hizo stories za Shakahola.
The real thing is our constitution has only one person who is accountable to us.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Very good morning to you. It's 7 minutes after 7 o'clock and into the first conversation in the Situation Room this morning. And I know it's a tricky morning and a lot of people are asking us questions this morning. So I was supposed to have a lecture this morning. I take public transport. I take private assisted transport to work every day. So what do? Do I walk to work? How do I get there? We've also been able to see a lot of folks who are asking what we do to our kids this morning if you didn't get communication from your school, and it looks more and more likely that you will keep them at home today. Because nobody's moving anywhere, and that's the truth. The roads are empty. We're probably going to get an update at some point. I know EVE is working on that. With one of our reporters to find out exactly what's going on. So we'll talk, and we're going to keep it moving this morning. And I know there are many questions. We'll talk about them, but our conversation this morning is probably going to bleed into this transport one at some point, because even as we're talking game plan 2027, the folks who then are going to put the ball in the back of the net when it comes to leadership have a lot to do. So let's get into it this morning, and both our guests are here in the hot seat already. Dr. Luchetu Likaka is a governance and security consultant, joins us in the room this morning. Good morning, Doc.
Morning to you.
Karibu sana, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
You got here in one piece, I can see.
Indeed, but not a happy Kenyan this morning.
No?
Yeah, because I need to send condolences to one of the families in Goroi where a young girl dropped in the toilet on Friday. And that tells you we have a serious crisis in terms of our leadership and governance. Something so touchy. So I'm not a happy Kenyan at all.
I'm sorry to hear that. And this is the thing. And I just saw a comment on our feed this morning. It says, has the mood also gone on strike? It looks as though, there's a lot to dampen the mood, even if you want to keep hope alive. But let's talk this morning. Let's communicate some of those things. He's the Secretary of Planning and Economic Affairs with DCP. Dr. Peter Mbai also here this morning. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Very well. Well, not a very good morning. The country is in a station. The station room says, in a moment of sunken. People are sunken. They're like, what next? What happens? But do allow me to give you your special greetings from one of the dedicated fans for this show, called Father Vincent Marube of St. Peter's Catholic Church, Elbagon.
Okay.
He listens every morning.
Oh, wow.
So I was in his church and I said, I will give you your greetings to do, and then it's light on studio. Please accept his Father Vincent Marube. I know, even right now I know he is listening. As a very passionate fan. He listens every morning to my son.
Well, Father Vincent, thank you very much, and a special greeting to you this morning. Thank you for being dedicated. The folks that we never hear or have an opportunity to speak
very
to.
Passionate, very passionate.
Very dedicated, and we appreciate that for sure.
And so he said, let me bring it to the show here. So here we are, and I can tell you this. A time comes and people are asking, why, and I like your headline, head in the sand. Like, why can't somebody come and say, look at when Corona came, right? When Uhuru was in power. You could see the empathy. You could see the updates. This is what's going to do. ABCD. Now, that is where we are as a Kenyan. Nobody knows for sure. I remember what Jacob, and God bless his soul, Jacob Juma said. You saw the clip, you saw the tweet.
Yeah.
2016, he said, this is what will happen in 2026. Okay? Fuel will rise. And the president will try to reduce it. Then he'll increase it again, and people will be so tired. Oh no, people will be so tired to do anything. The guys are like, so what next?
Yeah.
And these are very bad situation. But I want to say this from the word go. It's important to say this. Just me to mention. Let Kenyans know, seated here today, when parents don't know how to do with their kids, they're at home. Like now, I had to, because I had to come for this, I had to just come and say, no, we have to come here to speak to Kenyans.
Yeah.
Let it be very clear than this. The crisis we have, the high prices we have in this country today, it's not 100% as a result of the war of Iran. That lie, that narrative, we have to demystify, we have to kill it. It is not. It is as a result of many other factors, greed in between, that has caused this. I just want to say that for record, so that Kenyans don't want, the war in Iran. No. That war in Iran is still continuing, but the fuel in East African countries is cheaper. The fuel in US is about 150 shillings, Kenya shillings. If you convert, it is cheaper. Yet they are the guys who are killed in the war. Why? Because the government is able to come with programs to cushion. Yes, there is an impact, but the cushioning is where we are talking about.
Yep.
You can't allow Kenyans to suffer all these things. All this VAT we are talking about, all these fuel levies, all this stabilization fund, and then the 5 shillings per litre by the greedy cartels has to go. That's what we are saying. So Kenyans, please, the buck stops with the President of the Republic of Kenya.
And I'm sure we're going to get into that conversation, but Dr. Peter Mbai has already made his position clear.
It is the situation room.
About some things and has set the pace. But Dennis this week takes us to Gabon.
Yeah. Beautiful country. One of the richest countries in terms of resources that they do have. So they have vast resources of petroleum, manganese, timber, and Gabon is one of the wealthiest countries in Africa in terms of per capita that they do have. It is also just one of the only areas in the world that has a natural nuclear reactor. So as we plan to take ours in Siaya, just know Gabon have a natural one. But let's go to the proverb this morning. So the proverb says, to one who does not know, a small garden is a forest. To one who does not know, a small garden is a forest. Let's start with Daktari. How would you interpret it?
Thank you so much. My interpretation will be, we take it from a small idea, that from that small idea, you can actually manifest it into bigger issues of a big achievement. So an idea that is small can actually be transformed to change the world.
That's it.
To those who doesn't know, a small garden is a forest.
It's a forest.
You can only operate within your limit, what you know. Information, exposure, knowledge is very important.
Yes.
You hear another similar thing that says, when you have never seen oceans, you have never swum in oceans, you think that water in that bucket, in that karai, you think that is your swimming pool, because you have never experienced anything bigger. Exposure, knowledge, and I think the same thing happens here. If you think you have this idea that your people don't know nothing, you can control them there, but what you don't know is that they know. So you think that, look, these guys are just here, they have no brains, they are foolish, they don't think, you are the only one who has brains, and you think they are tied there, but they know better. You cannot rule people who know.
Okay.
You cannot rule people who haven't seen a forest, thinking that is a garden. You cannot rule them. I think it's very practical. Yeah.
Well said.
I think God speaks to you at night to give you these proverbs. They are very apt.
Well, I mean, looking at what's going on, and this is why it's a conversation for things to then come out in terms of the public arena. And if you look at Game Plan 2027, there's so much talk at the moment around who's going to garner the votes of wherever it is from. Who's going to garner the vote from the coast? Who's going to garner the vote from the mountain? Who's going to garner the vote from Nyanza? Who's going to garner the vote? Are we missing the point? Or should we be looking, Dr. Lekaka, at who is the person at this point who looks most likely that they're going to do constitutionally what is meant for this country?
Thank you. Let me take it from the Constitution. Article 138 gives us the 50+1, and the fact that you have to also to win in the at least 25% in the 24 counties. The crisis we are in is actually opposition fragmentation, and the fact that the Constitution actually proposes that it gives an opportunity to create coalitions to form a government, because from 2002 you cannot actually have a presidential candidate from just one community, and therefore it will be good for coalition building. But then the question is actually opposition prepared to take power in 2027? I don't think so. Because the fragmentation we are seeing, the unpreparedness that we are seeing, because today the opposition are actually not protecting Kenyans who are actually wallowing in the miasma of corruption and other social ills, including the fuel crisis we have today. The opposition should actually prepare and behave like an alternative government practically. I mean, for example, today, what alternative is the opposition giving us when it comes to fuel crisis? What alternative are they giving us in terms of economic messaging? How organized are they that we can actually see that they are preparing and they're working together? What if, for example, today we had a single presidential candidate that we can say, yes, we all agree this element must go. But then when must go, then who replaces must go? So who is this leader that comes out with these qualities, who is calmer, who is organized, who is actually going to give us a little bit of messaging around the economy that Kenyans can actually now identify with them? There's an opportunity that the opposition can do. But for me, I feel if they continue taking ages to actually agree and trying to come up, whoever takes whichever position, Kenyans are getting more closer to still bring Ruto back. Because Ruto is also not sleeping. Why? Because he knows how to form coalitions. He's already making those inroads in the former stronghold of the opposition. And the opposition here, they are moving around their blocks and trying to protect their blocks, as opposed to moving around the country to ensure that they give us a national outlook. They give us an alternative. For example, today, who is actually the opposition shadow CS, for example, for health, or even for finance, or even can they give us an alternative budget, what we can see, so that they start building the minds of Kenyans and shifting the Kenyans from the challenges that we are facing with the current government, that the opposition is now providing an opportunity to say, here we are, this is what we can do. And that's why it's a concern. Are we going to form a coalition 6 months to the election like 2022 or 2017? Or can we have it in advance and ensure that we actually tie loose ends so that the president does not raid the opposition strongholds?
Do you think it needs to be done now? Because this is the thing that folks have been asking around the country, and I'm also bringing Dr. Mbai here at this point, just on what Dr. Lukaka is saying, that you need to, in this case, this is not a game of poker where you wait until the last moment to show your hand. That in a case where things, according to many people, are going wrong, that if an opposition is coming together to then lay its claim to leadership, that they need to show their hand now, because things are thick. There has been a voice that says, if we show our hand now, they're going to sabotage the whole game. What do you think about that?
This is what going to happen. And first of all, to start it from there, this issue of opposition unity, we saw the opinion poll, and for me, I'm a political communicator. Political science, one of the tools of political communication is opinion polls. Personally, for me, I believe in opinion polls by and large, with all the parameters in place. I want to say, look at the opinion polls. It's done. The president had 51 plus 1. He had 51% when he was getting to power. He has 24% right now. So it means, therefore, that if the opposition can unite, I mean, the whole 76% of Kenya simply don't believe in William Ruto. So what are we saying? Do the mistake we cannot make. And I want to urge all our supporters to be a bit calm. It is 1 year plus. You know, it is in May is when we'll be unveiling officially our candidate, around March, April, May next year. I want to say that from the word go. Why? We want to do a Kibaki movement. I mean, when you are praying with a candidate or an opponent who we know about him, you don't go very early giving your cards on the table. And that's why you see NAS is steadying him, Kalonzo is ahead. He continues hitting Kalonzo. Then before he finishes, Ligiji is on the other side. Before he does everything, Natembeya starts his rallies. Then Sifuna, then Matiang'i. That is how we want to keep him busy. We don't want to tell him that this is our candidate. The whole issue is, and I don't know why, the people who are pushing us to name a candidate, they could be putting us in some trap. Including my friend here. I don't know why people are so eager on us. It is our strategy. By the way, why do people want us to see us together every day? It's not necessary. It is part of our game. Let people continue seeing. Let every party strengthen themselves. Okay, all the parties, all of them that are saying one term, so that finally Kenyans can also begin seeing who is likely to be the president. It's not the boardroom that will determine the president. It is the people. When they are watching the people every day do whatever they are doing. So I want to say this. And when keep on saying about what we are doing every day, then you are a witness. We are talking about issues. We are talking about the issues of Adani. We are talking about the issues of bombers. We are talking about the issue of Talo Oil, the issue of the Round Summit. We are talking about RSF. We are talking about the economy. We have clearly said what needs to be done over this issue of fuel. So what I want to suggest today is that the opposition, the way it is moving, finally, it's not us. It's not leaders who want to be united. It is the people who are demanding that the leaders must be united. I can tell you, you are here during 2002. It happened within months, because we don't also want to lay all our cards on the table. Let us continue galvanizing ourselves and strengthening our basis. Let every party do whatever they are supposed to do. For example, this year, and you are in a hurry because you are saying we name a presidential candidate. We have not yet unveiled our presidential candidate as DCP. We are yet to do an NDC, a major one, big one. We are waiting for the case to end. And then, because the case will end in our favor, hopefully, then we launch the party and we launch our presidential candidate. So it's still too early, man. Right. This year, so really, the year is still about midway. We are going to launch our presidential candidate. Let others launch. We are yet to concretize our agreement with the people from the coast, from northeastern, from Rift Valley, from the Luo Nyanza or the Nyanza belt, and so there is a lot of things, work to be done and moving on. I can tell you. Very soon, I don't want to preempt everything. I know there is the issue of finance bill. We are working on it. We are going to release it when our party leader comes back. There is the issue of the budget. We are working on it. Our experts are right now working numbers, cracking the numbers. Remember, it now is a public document because it's in Parliament, right? Yeah. Both the finance bill and the budget. So we are going to come up and give people alternatives of what we think the budget should look like. We don't want to stay until it is passed, then we begin crying. We want to tell you before how much is budget in State House. How much have they put? Uhuru was doing 4 billion. They are doing 17. Yeah, we want to know for this year how much, so that we tell the people, go tell your MP again, give them another chance. Go tell your MP, don't pass this budget with this kind of figures. So those are the issues we are looking at right now as we speak. Our teams from the DCP, our teams from the United Opposition, all the technical teams are working on what should happen and what are the best objectives. Yes.
Dr. Chetu, you know, Kenyans find themselves in catch-22, in a point of catch-22, because right now, even as we speak, even in the opposition itself, we have members of parliament, right? And these members of parliament, many would say, even in the matters of fuel that we see today, it only takes members of parliament to go inside that house and come up with an amendment that would see all these taxes that have been levied on fuel go down. And one would say, if that is the strategy that, say, even the opposition would apply, then many Kenyans would start leaning towards a certain side, knowing these are people who speak our languages, people who speak for us. But delayed to do that, then Kenyans, where they sit is, it's just the same crop of individuals. We do not know who to trust in this case, because tell you what, even the taxes that we see today, many of them voted for this finance bill 2025, right? So delay in, say, the opposition coming up with a decision or who is running, is it then making Kenyans find themselves in a position where they can't trust anybody who's coming up because you left us on our own?
You know, my brother, you are touching on something very sensitive. There is a leadership deficit in this country. Kenyans are facing a crisis because they are seeing, I wish we could actually move with the opposition, but the opposition is letting them down. So, once bitten, twice shy. We've seen how opposition has been fragmented before, and we are worried that that last-minute arrangement may not hold water. So that's why Kenyans are actually yearning that the opposition should actually come out strongly to give us an alternative so that they can actually endear Kenyans towards themselves. But then you need to appreciate that Ruto is brilliant. He's still very good in messaging. So that messaging, people still feel like then Ruto has a better chance. So even if we talk about the fragmentation and the last minute arrangement that we can actually put in place, we should be concerned, therefore. The alternative that we are looking at, if today the opposition came together and with that discipline that we need to remain united because we want a new Kenya and go ahead and implement, you think they cannot succeed? Why are we going back to that element of saying, fine, let's wait for last minute? You know, last minute, Ruto still has a chance because it will be very difficult to change the mind of Kenyans at that last minute. You talk about the tribal mathematics. You talk about proper messaging. Today, we have an opportunity in terms of economic messaging. We are doing survival. We have the yoke of taxes on our neck. We can't barely breathe. We can't barely move and even get that survival. Why can't they take proper messaging, for example? Today, they are still organizing themselves. Ruto has been campaigning for the last 4 years, just like he did in the previous regime. We have a scenario here. What about campaigning and delivery? That could be very good messaging. What about governance crisis we have in terms of accountability? So that Kenyans can actually appreciate that we really have I'm saying today, and this is free consultancy to Daktari here, that please wake up as opposition because Kenyans are looking upon you as an alternative. Satisfy them by doing the right thing so that Kenyans can feel comfortable that, yes, we have this monster here and we are all saying must go. Therefore, we have organized ourselves around policy. And a very good example. Today, we have crisis in terms of institution assessment. IEBC and that funny companies, it's Matic or whatever.
Smartmatic.
Yes. What is the opposition doing about that? And agents, how are we organizing our agents from the word go nationwide? How are we training our poll people? Do we have even a command center for the opposition? So that we put this mechanism in place to demonstrate that indeed we are a government in waiting. Can Kenyans trust us? Yeah. So I'm only asking that, can Daktari and the team wake up from that slumber and that historical worry that, and let me tell you, Ruto is not a small child in politics. And I can assure you, unless you actually organize yourselves, we will be in the same crisis. But on the side of government, I'm also asking the government, please deliver on your promises. This thing we are talking about, fuel, it came up with G2G. It has not solved, it ended up benefiting a few boys in terms of the forex. But the Kenyans themselves have never felt the benefit of G2G. Today, look at the landing cost of fuel here. And look at all these crises. As I agree with you, in conclusion, Parliament has the authority to come back to the House and enact appropriate laws to protect Kenyans. Look at a good country like Pakistan. They're cushioning their people, and then they depend on fuel from that end. As we can even source from another country, not necessarily from where we are sourcing, because government to government is basically corruption packaged very well.
Dr. Mbai, there is how it was done in 2002, last minute, right? But Kenyans want to identify themselves with people who fight for them. Why do I say this? Within within alternative government, united opposition, we have members of parliament who already sit in the House, right? And one would hope that, knowing very well that the taxes that Kenyans today pay or decisions that are there are decisions that can be amended in the House. And we are not seeing the united opposition push for this agenda through the already sitting members of parliament so that Kenyans can say, I want to pigania. All we're saying is we are offering solutions out there, but where the solutions ought to be at, where they ought to go, we are not seeing that happen. So many would say, even if it is 50+1 and a strategy that would happen, we're not seeing the united opposition apply a strategy that would make Kenyans trust them.
I like what you're saying. Let's go practical. For example, within the team, we have a whole legal team. We have various interventions. One is legal. Okay, we are in court on Safaricom. You are aware of that. We are in court on the issues of KPC sale. We are in court on the housing levy in the court of appeal. Right, our team, we are in court over 15 issues, national issues. Okay, that's what we have done. We also in court in the counties, depending on the issues that are there on oversight. No, because that's what we are doing now as opposition, both at the county level and the national level, for example. So what we are saying, we have like all those issues, we pick them. Then we have a legislative arm, made up of all our senators and MPs in the grand, opposition, who are already doing that. Now, all of them, for example, when Didi, who is doing oversight on behalf of Kenyans, okay, they never mind where he started because he is doing his oversight role. Yeah. And that's what Kenyans want to hear. Yesterday, there was a meeting and all agreed, well, this is a good move. We are going to support it when it comes to parliament. You get my point? Because we have to keep on moving. What I want to assure you today, seated, right, is that we have a team that deals with legislation. We have one of advocacy. Now, we have one led, of course, by the principals. For them, we generate we generate stuff and we give them, okay, on the issues that we see them talking about, yeah? Because people give information, we package them together, and we give the principals to because of advocacy and publicity. So these things, I can tell you, there is no issue that's happening in this country that we are not seized of. The only issue I want to say, and it's important, people fear the president. Let me tell you, there is a lot of fear about, this man, anybody you go to talk to, atatoka kwa kiti, will he get out? How are we going to defeat him? Let me tell you something. President Ruto is very good in messaging. He's very good in repeating narratives. And that's why, if you have noted, if it repeats a narrative at 10, we do it at 12. So by 1, we are equal. You know, we are balanced. If he repeats another narrative, most of the narratives are promises. You know, I went to inspect what I inspected in 2018, to launch what I had launched. All those things of I'll do. I can tell you this. We are waiting for Luto at 4. It's coming in August, right? We'll bring videos here. We'll demonstrate all the issues that were promised and not done. We are going to come up with alternative policy on each sector. Because we know these things. We just come and tell Kenyans, look here, this one is done. Okay? If you have not done anything at within 4 years, you can't do anything within 5 years. Because in any case, within the 5th year, you should be just doing commissioning. You know, opening ribbons of complete projects. Not saying you are launching, you are inspecting, and all that kind of a thing. So we are preparing our team. You come back and launch officially, say, this is what has been, you know, all the lies and all the overpromises and all those kind of things and private interest in public programs that have taken us. But here we are, within that 1 year, going into the election year, we'll come up with policies on each sector. And and that is where also you'll see parties competing. You know, we'll come with our own. Another party will say this is what we need to go. Then we'll harmonize our strategies. So yes, we are moving on. What we need to do is one day at a time do. Today, what we are pushing for right now is the issue of fuel prices. We need to demand them to come down. We are waiting for we have like 4 issues we are handling: the issues of IBC, the issue of the sale of public institutions, and we are telling the president, please don't allow the anger of Kenyans to pile up, because if it piles up, we are waiting for next week in June. We want to see what will have happened to the finance bill, to the issue of the budget, and we are saying, Mr. President, please don't wait for the anger of Kenyans to pile up.
I think it's a little bit late there, because the anger of Kenyans has already.
That's what I'm saying.
It's spilling over from
the other time we told the president, okay, and he kept quiet. He assumed that hike was okay, 40 shillings. Here it is even higher. And it's becoming unbearable. Today was not our initiative. The transport sector have called in a strike just to demonstrate. Look here, guys. If you can't hear, can we shake your hand a bit so that you can know? But what are we saying? Do in the midst of all that, we have a very demeaning president. Even yesterday, the other day, he still talks about people who are fools, people who have done brains, a whole head of state. It's so bad. But the other day I was thinking, I think we have the wrong man in State House, because nobody can behave that way. No, I'm saying this because it doesn't make sense. You are there and the same thing, church leaders in State House. You can't repeat the same thing you did now. I keep on telling you, Dennis. There's a guy who used to call Kalumanzila in those movies, who would do some Karabash things, some witchcraft, and pour some things on the floor. Those things, you cannot retain them and do the same thing. So this issue of calling bishops and church leaders, you cannot. The favor went and the grace of God left. So I don't know, he's still trying the old methods. Let me tell you the pain, and please God forbid that when we get to power, do next year. When I watch what is happening, I tell God, when we get to power, when by the grace of God I get elected as a senator for Nakuru, and I come to formulate policies, God forbid that we'll forget and act as if we don't know, like we don't know where we have come from. It's so sad that you live in another world, your own world somewhere. You have created some world there. Your work is to lecture people, calling people the same way people are complaining. Why do you call people from Bungoma all the way just to come in so that you can show them you are the president, and then you give them some? Who does that in this century? When people are crying, people are paining, they are still organizing economic empowerment programs. It's completely off from the reality. I can tell you this? For me, some of us who really pushed for this government, who really elected this government, we feel very sorry. I can tell you this on record. We never knew this is the direction the president would take this country. We had no idea.
We told them. Dr. Likaka is saying, actually,
I'm talking on my own behalf because it's important to say clearly. We never knew. The man who used to talk like heaven would come down. Everything would come from his mind, not even using teleprompter, right? We had no idea. Please, guys, no idea at all that this can change. It's very serious.
This is interesting that you bring this up, Dr. Mbai. Yeah. I'll ask a question, and this is a question to you, but perhaps could be answered by Dr. Likaka. interesting, the conversations. Because if at the time you sold an idea to people and endorsed an idea, which we can see in retrospect lacked all discernment.
Yes.
How then will you convince Kenyans that you'll be the same people who will deliver a different result?
You have asked that question and I will answer it very clearly so that it's very clear. Let me tell you how. The problem we are dealing with here is not that inability to simply organize programs and policies and make them work. No, we are dealing with the character and personality of a person. You cannot cure some things like greed. No, let's be very clear, please. We are dealing with the character and personality. Now, the problem is to make sure, because once it rolls from the top, we are done. We are very careful on who is going to lead this country, because we want to make sure we understand your personality and character. Because look at Adolf Hitler. It's about personality and character. Look at Mahatma Gandhi. Look at Nelson Mandela. It is first about personality and character.
I understand, but my question is this. It doesn't really take so long for you to understand whom a person is.
Allow me to respond.
I'm just give an example. I'm here with Dennis every day. To an extent, we kind of know your behavior. You know what somebody's going to say. You know how they're going to react. You know what would upset them and what wouldn't. You know that you can trust me to say this, or he can trust me to say the other thing at some point, because you've spent time with somebody. It is difficult to take yourself far off from an understanding that you didn't know who this person is, because now you're saying he's totally different. Can somebody change so quickly and you wouldn't have an idea as to who they were?
Let me respond this way. Show me your friends and I'll give you your character. We saw it, and I'll say this with a lot of humility. Give me William Ruto's CV from a tender age to how he has risen through the ranks to become the president of this country. From selling chicken to power broker in Kanu, to director of Kanu elections, to the minister that he was, and to today he's the president. We had that concern, and interestingly, the Central Bloc demonstrated a protest vote against Uhuru Kenyatta at the expense of the country. Dr. Mbai is the last person to complain about this regime because he emotionally put this regime in place. When we talk about leadership, and I'm happy we are discussing this because now we will be preparing who will take over in 2027. God giving us that opportunity. We want somebody who is calmer, somebody who is focused, somebody who can actually pinpoint and see very well he's going to look presidential, somebody who can be able to withstand the scrutiny and can take this country forward. The rhetorics we saw in the last, we have seen in the last 10 years, and particularly how William Ruto organized himself from 2017 to 2022. It was clear where we were headed. And I remember Martha Karua raised these concerns in one of those debates. And we have come now to reap the challenges of having elected a leader who is burying the head in the sand while Kenyans are suffering. It's a wake-up call that we as a people should place a lot of scrutiny on the kind of leaders we are going to elect if we have to transform this country. Singapore was transformed because of the leader. And today, the president has all the powers, and we saw how he even threw away whoever helped him to get to that power. And today, the president is actually the wheel dealer in every sector. So that should actually be a wake-up call. And that messaging, the opposition have the opportunity, based on the challenges we are facing today in the economic circle, in education, in health, in agriculture. Let me say this. We need this country to move forward, and that means we must hold the current leadership accountable. Look at the Audit General's report. What is the auditor raising about all the projects? How come we have Rironi Mau Summit without a contract? Something is happening. Yeah, but we don't have a contract. So what about those projects being launched left, right, and center? The opposition can do the audit, even hold a national conference and just take us through to hold the government accountable.
But he's saying that they're doing some of these things, isn't it?
So,
Dr. Mbai is saying that they're doing some of these things. There's
why are Kenyans not feeling it?
Going on.
Why are Kenyans not feeling it? That's where the concern is, because for me, I need to look right into Daktari's eyes and tell him, please, can you do more so that we feel it? Because Kenyans are hopeful, but then they are feeling let down by the opposition. And let me tell you this. Opposition is actually building their parties at the expense of actually the whole country. Look at how DCP is doing it so well. I'm happy because they are looking at the parliamentarians they want to get. They are actually messaging every day. But the question will be, how are we going to remain national? Because a concern will be, a regional bloc can actually not get to the president, somebody to be the president. So that messaging has to be consistent. That organization needs to be felt by Kenyans that indeed, even as we look at it, we see the costs are on board, Western already having been lost to opposition, then it should be a wake-up call that let's just organize ourselves and structure ourselves in a way that Kenyans can trust us. Dr. You have a lot to do.
Let me tell you this quickly. Yes. First of all, for record, Kenyans don't feel let down by opposition as we speak. That's why, if you go by the TIFA poll, I mean, the combination of the people, only a small fraction said they are not aware. Who I think 15% or 10% or something. Okay, so many people said they are one person or the other before we come together. So I think just for record, people have a lot of faith in the people who demonstrated a no vote to the president was 76%. The only people who said yes, they support the president 24%. So please, that's number one. Yeah. And then just an observation, when I sent this poster, somebody told me it is not 50 plus 1. Yeah. It is 50% plus 1. I mean, I am very clear, guys. So send me when I send the poster, they say, no, please tell them it's not 50 plus 1, it's 50% plus 1. Anyway, it is 50% plus 1. Let me tell you something. So it's not very right. Number two, please, I can tell you this. Under the circumstances, I will tell you this, please. Dr. When others went to school to do many things and other courses, I went to school to do political science and then government. I can tell you what we are doing so far. By the time we have and the months are remaining, we are doing well. We can do better. We are going to do better, but we are okay. In terms of please never release or never run too fast in a marathon like it's a sprint. We are doing a marathon. But you have asked a question. What happened? And this is very important question. Just for to clear people. Let me tell you. Okay. Number one, I talking about the fourth president, Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta is like a father who knows the issues in the bedroom. And he knew these issues are bad. But somehow, he was not able to deliver that information to the kids in a nice way. In a way they could understand. So he was misunderstood because all along we were 18. Where is a bombshell? What did Ruto do? Please tell us. You know, what? Okay, all this you are talking, mutajuta, mutalia, mutaona mashida. Then I'm like, what happened? But then, we believe in God. Then we are Christians. We believe in God. Listen to this. Now, remember, God is the one who put Pharaoh to be puffed up against his rights. The Bible says, so that God can finish him finally. So God has a way of exposing you, of making sure you are puffed up and all that. It's very clear. He did it by purpose. He made life difficult for Israel so God can deal with him himself. So, I mean, let's put God's praise here. If Ruto didn't make it, I can tell you today, he'll be telling you how you lost the Messiah. And you all be waiting for him to come in 2027. All of you. Begging him, please don't go anywhere. You are the next president. So God wanted us maybe to expose him so that we can get done. Everybody can see him. I'm just talking now because also, besides being a philosopher and a political scientist, I'm a Christian. So, and then I remembered 1 Samuel 8:10-22. Samuel told all the words of the Lord to the people who are asking for a king. And the Lord said a few things that the king would do. He'll take your daughters and sons. He'll add taxes. It is in the Bible. 1 Kings. He'll take the best of your fields. This is very important. And vineyards and olive orchards and give them to his servants. He'll take the tenth of your grain, that is taxation, of your vineyards and give it to his officers of his servants. He will take your male servants and female servants and the best of your young men. That is the death of the Gen Zs. And your donkeys, and put them to his work. He will take the tenth of your flocks, and he shall be his slaves. That is where Kenya is today. So it is, the question I was asked last night, it was a Sunday, so I was meditating. Dennis, did we ask for ourselves a king like the Israelites did, and God said, aha, you are demanding, you don't want me to be your king, I'll give you the one you want, so take your king. This is exactly what is happening in this country today. But do you know what happened after that? God made sure Saul made so many mistakes that is happening today. He made sure, he allowed, until he went to sacrifice. Then God said, God would have prevented Saul from going to sacrifice. He allowed him to sacrifice so he can be done with him. What happened after that? Samuel was told to go to the house of Jesse to appoint someone else, because God could see the cries of the Israelites. Today, please, I want to tell Kenyans. I woke up very early in the midst of the strike just to come here, to come and tell Kenyans, please, there is hope. You don't have always to keep your kids at home, because there's an irresponsible government that doesn't care, head in the sand. I want to say this, come next year. And look, this is very important, because here, the one thing I like, I talk all these kind of things, and finally there's God. We are going to have someone else who is not greedy, who believes in himself. You must become, as a president, you must believe in yourself. You cannot be chasing your own shadows. Somebody who will allow people to thrive, not a father who tiptoes to a fridge at night to go eat all the milk and bread instead of baking more bread. We want somebody who is not greedy, who is not corrupt, who will allow ministers to work. Somebody who doesn't have to be in every business and be calling PSAs and CEOs and chairmen of parastatals on a Sunday afternoon. Somebody who simply will let government work. I can tell you, seated here, 70% of all the problems of this country, I mean 70%, can be tackled administratively through political goodwill by people sitting together. Every sector come and say what needs to be done, and it be done. Is it possible, Dennis? I can tell you today, and it is possible.
Let me ask Dr. this, and then you respond to that as well. Lichetu, we look at a situation where the promise that the United Opposition is giving Kenyans of we will sort it out when we get there. Many want to look at what you're promising, how you will do it, and what the results would be. Because Kenyans today are saying, whilst you present yourself as a solution, right, and you're asking for votes to give you that right to be there, we want to see your promise. We want to see what it is you're proposing, so that we can interrogate it, compare it with what there is, so that we can also give you feedback, so that by the time we are making the decision to vote for you or not, it is based off an informed decision that we have scrutinized over time. It is not a question of 5 months too, and you're giving us a bundle of manifesto that we do not even have time to scrutinize well. Should then the messaging from the opposition in the search for 50% plus one be that let's start communicating clearly early, so that Kenyans understand, so that we can take them through the process of understanding our promise and delivery matrices. Failure to do that, then Kenyans are just saying, atuoni tofauti.
Thank you so much. You know, while I talked about leadership crisis, and I'm holding the opposition accountable in terms of helping us to get there. Why? Because you see, the messaging that William Ruto did for the last 10 years is what has put him in that office. Because I was a victim of the last election. I voted out of emotions. But then, having suffered those consequences, because last minute convincing, I had a different opinion about William Ruto, but last minute, because of the messaging, I felt he could actually deliver, because he was pro-poor. He was anti-establishment. He was actually talking about Mama Mboga and the border borders. And I felt if these ones can be elevated and have supermarkets and own those cars, I think that will be the right direction.
Right.
You see, that is the message. I want the opposition to pick up cost of living, for example, the issue of the debt today, the issue of taxes, the issue about police accountability, so that some of the issues that actually bedevil in this country, they can actually start messaging. Remember last time, Dr. Mbaya and the team were doing economic forums all over. They actually had those consultations with William Ruto. so that it became clearer that indeed he has consulted us. So that is the opportunity that we need to do. The element that opposition are actually missing out, and probably, as Dr. has mentioned, we are pushing too much for them, is that we need them to demonstrate that indeed can you take over this leadership if the time comes. That's what Kenyans are asking. Why? Because Kenyans are tired with the current regime. So Kenyans are asking, can you take over? So we are asking the opposition, demonstrate to us that indeed these are the alternatives they are actually doing, and it doesn't cost much. I wish they could actually even have paid adverts just to say what they are proposing, because that one does not actually limit them from actually messaging and therefore giving the Kenyans the confidence they need.
It's okay. It's often said that when you continue to pay attention, or you direct your attention at something that may not be working, from what we hear today, what you do is you glorify that thing, but that what you need is direction to the thing that can work.
Yes, exactly.
And that is the message then that you continue to harp on day in, day out. And I keep going back to this example, and maybe it sounds like a mundane example, but when CBK Governor Njoroge wanted to change the currency, they did not talk about anything else but the change of that currency. And they said, we're going to change it, bring your old money, get the new one, bring your old money, get the new one. By said date, we are going to phase it out. We will not take it. By the time that date came, Kenyans knew.
Exactly.
Kenyans didn't fight it. Kenyans understood, because he himself came out and said, this is what we are going to do. It may be a different kind of content, but the principle remains the same. That if you are saying that this thing is bad, so don't focus on it. What we want you to focus on is how it is going to change. This is what is going to happen, and I am the person who is going to make it happen. Kenyans don't have a tomorrow problem. Kenyans have a today, now, 7:55 problem. We can see it in fuel. We can see it in education. Kenyans have a today problem that even if you're not going to solve today, at the very least, you need to feed them some hope of that changing. The question is whether it's united or disunited, whether it's what is the solution and who is presenting that solution, whether it comes unified, in concert, coalesced around a certain idea. Kenyans don't need a tomorrow solution to a today problem. Who's delivering it, and how is that coming?
I'll tell you this, and I'll tell you this in a nutshell. I hear you, and I can tell you, if there's something some of us literally take all our time, the burden, the feelings, and the burden Kenyans have, it's not lost on us, and it's tricky, because really, from security issues, you can see people are being killed, and buried in Meru, when we have a government, literally. And even the topmost people really come from that area. But people are still being killed. Issues on health, issues on education, the scams around housing levy and markets and all that, and these housing programs and all that. We know, and the extent of this message that can be able to go. And what I can tell you, and what I can tell Kenyans, we are in a bad place. This is we're not going to work. All the issues touted as flagship projects, completely Auditor General said they are fake and they are scam. And the Auditor General report is there. All the issues of housing programs and markets and hostels, those are the issues to be done by private sector. The Auditor General said as much, including the sharding. So what we want to tell Kenyans, please, let's keep hope alive. You said it very well. We have months to go. We have to be together. We have to raise our numbers up to 80% of removal of this government. One thing I want to assure you, but let me tell you, when I hear people keep on talking about the issues of what needs to be done, what will happen and all that, I wonder, let me tell you, who doesn't live in this country? Even if you yourself today, you are told, okay, you are in government today, what you know very well what needs to be done. This country, everybody knows. Everybody knows. We have spoken about the collapse of the health system until we are tired. We simply waiting for action now.
Okay.
And we said very well, we have watched this thing today. You know what you do in your first day in office. You simply scrap housing levy. There are some things to lighten the burden of Kenyans that needs to be done without even talking. That's what I'm saying. This time is within the rain. As we want to be next year, we simply have one meeting and we remove all those kind of things quickly because we know the solution.
I want to do something real quick because we're talking about today problem. Our reporter KTN is online. His name is Ian Kitani, and to just give us a brief on what's going on the roads at this point, if anything is going on. Then we're going to come back and take roundups from both of you, if that's okay. Hello, Ian. Good morning.
Pretty much good morning to you. Right now,
hello, Ian.
There you go. Road. Yep.
Ian, how you doing? And where are you this morning?
Tell us.
Okay, fantastic. Let's go, man.
Thank you, Nduh. I can hear you. I am along Thika Road, to be specific, along the Allsops interchange, and this is a road that is usually very, very normal, especially on a Monday morning, but the situation today is totally different. Just if my camera person can try and give you the view of this particular road, it is clear only private vehicles, a few of them to be specific, are operating in this particular route. So just for the camera person to give you a view of this particular road, there are no vehicles, no public service vehicles. We've only seen a few public service vehicles, and if at all, they're operating, they're charging 200 shillings for, a place that normally Kenyans pay between 30 to 50 shillings, at most 70 bob. So that has left so many people stranded here, and like you can see just right behind me, there's so many stranded Kenyans here who do not have a means to go to work this particular morning. We've seen many Kenyans working to work this particular morning. Most of them still stranded here. They're unable to get a means to go to their respective jobs this particular morning. And this is the situation across this particular road. So many Kenyans, hundreds if not thousands, are just stranded, waiting to see if they will get some sort of a reprieve in terms of getting a means to go to work this particular morning. I don't know if I can speak to just some of them, and they can let us know what the situation is and what is happening. Labda unaweza tueleza jina lako na labda maoni yako kuhusiana na hali hii ya magari kukosa kufanya kazi kama kawaida kwa sababu bei ya mafuta imepanda.
Okay, jina yangu ni Duncan Gitonga. Okay, sasa situation haiko poa sana juu unapata kutoka 5 akuja kuwa na magari, alafu unapata kuna venye fare imepanda, unapata kaa kutoka hapa kwa Ndadi Juja inakuwa ni 50, lakini sasa ni 300, unaona. So unapata hapo kuna difficulties, alafu unapata wenye magari juu ya hii mambo ya demonstration na nini wamesema hawatatoa magari zao juu wanaogopa magari zinaweza chomwa, unaona. Sasa tuko tu stranded yani. Hadi ukiangalia kwenye stage iko unaweza ona.
Na labda maoni yako kwa serikali ingekuwa gani? Ungetaka serikali ifanye nini?
Mafuta tu ishukishwe tu. Hiyo ndio tu kitu ningetaka. Juu unaona mafuta kishukishwa kila kitu itakuwa stable, kila kitu itakuwa imeshuka juu. Si unajua mafuta ndio kila kitu, transport ndio kila kitu.
Well, Nduh, like you've heard, I know I'm supposed to hand it over back to you, but that is the situation across this particular road. We'll be pitching tent along the Thika Road just to make sure that Kenyans are updated and keep you posted in regards to whatever is happening here, even as Kenyans call on the government to reduce the taxation on fuel. They say their pleas have fell on deaf ears. We're waiting to see if the government can indeed respond and, of course, cushion Kenyans more. We know the CS for Treasury said they've provided another 5 billion in terms of subsidy, but Kenyans say that is not enough. So we'll be keeping tabs on this. We'll be coming back to you later on with more update.
Thank you so much for that, Ian. Your sport, Asante, keeping in touch with you as we go along with it. So be safe. We'll talk in a bit. Asante sana. Okay, so that's what we hear. That's what's going on.
Do just to mention two things quickly. Number one.
Yes, as we round up.
I saw the statement by the National Police Service. Very demeaning. They were talking about a minority of matatu operators have called a strike, and a section of the public industry. I mean, that language is very demeaning, first of all. Number one. Two, I want to congratulate the matatu sector operators. I feel, of course, for the travelers, but sometimes things need to be done for people to see whether the last time they increased, people just made appeals. Nothing was done, right? So, right now, do you know, matatu operators needed not to call for this boycott because they could have simply passed the cost to the travelers. Right. But they say, wait a minute, we also feel for you guys. So Matatu, the transport industry rather, is not doing this just for their own sake, but also to help the travelers to see whether they can work. But do you know where the whole thing goes wrong? You know what they're thinking? Wait a minute, you cannot sustain this for 2-3 days.
Well, let's see.
By evening, you will do this, and this is how dictators think. They think you are fools. They think you cannot think. They think you have no brains and have no capacities. That is why somebody like Oscar Sud, because it's public thing, he said, even if you don't, even if you don't vote for us and the votes are not enough, we'll add.
We'll feel the
Dictators work that way until they don't understand what Kenyans are going through. Until the last minute, elections have come, they have lost, they have to board helicopters literally to run away from Kenya. It's unfortunate.
I hear you, Dr. Mbai. A very last words from you, Dr. Lekaka, in 2 seconds, maybe 20.
Yeah. Thank you so much. 2027, it is possible that the opposition can actually defeat William Ruto, but they need to be alive to the economic challenges that Kenyans are facing, the trust deficit that we have, the Gen Z, our youthful voter turnout is very key. And lastly, they need to ensure that they actually adhere to the principles of coalition building to actually take this country forward.
That's where we are, Dr. Peter Mbai and also Dr. Luchetu Likaka. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's going to be an interesting Monday. Thank you for taking out your time to be here this morning to be able to push these conversations. We do it again soon. Thank you very much. Folks, we continue with these conversations. More updates in terms of what's going on around the country. It's a little past the hour, but we continue with these conversations anyway. Good morning.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the news. I'm Sheila Tembor. The National Police Service has assured Kenyans of their safety as a nationwide public transport strike begins over rising fuel prices. NPS spokesperson Mushiri Nyaga said security had been heightened across the country, citing that the United Transport Association of Kenya had distanced itself from the planned industrial action and confirmed that operators under its umbrella will continue operating normally. Police warned that any acts of violence, intimidation or disruption will be dealt with in accordance with the law and urge the public to remain calm. The statement comes as major PSV operators, including Super Metro, suspended services in protest against high fuel cost. Transport operators are demanding a reduction in fuel prices and reforms in the petroleum sector following the latest fuel price increase announced by the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Allies of President William Ruto have accused the opposition of misleading Kenyans over the recent rise in fuel prices, saying the increase is linked to the ongoing conflict between the US and Iran. Speaking in Kilifi, presidential aide Farouk Kibet defended the government's position.
Tuombee kwana na tuombee ulimwengu kwamba maneno ya mafuta, maneno ya vita iweze kupungua. Ndio mafuta karama iweze kwenda chini. Hiyo ndio maombi ya Wakristo. Wale wote ambaye wanachochea wa Kenya kunakataa hiyo mambo. Tuombe vita kule dunia ingine iweze kuacha kupigana, tupate mafuta kwa bei nafuu.
Mombasa Governor Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir also echoed the remarks.
Kwa sababu nimeona wengine wanachukua video ya zamani ya William Samoei Ruto akizungumza na akisema ya kwa njia ya kupunguza bei ya mafuta ni lazima tupunguze ushuru. Sasa mimi najiuliza, wakati mnatoa na video hiyo, kwa nini hamutoi ile video akiweka sahihi ya kwa aliweza kupunguza ushuru wakati mafuta yalikuwa yameweza kupanda bei? Tuambianeni ukweli.
And that's the news. I'm Sheila Tembor.
.5 Spice FM. Kisumu. Traffic.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
We look at the utterances of leaders who are aligned to broad-based, who are initially in ODM. We thought they stand for something. Now they've been exposed.
Because we are a third world country, we are poor. And not because we don't have resources, but we have been robbed senseless.
Look at the wasteful expenditure. Look at how large government lives. And we've said this is something that can be controlled. It happens in many other countries.
Internally, we used to stand and tell him, boss, hii kitu ni mbaya. And you'd say, now he doesn't, let me tell you, you saw the other parliamentary group meeting. People went there, sat, listened, looked at him. There was no plenary, left.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Presidency is fairly interesting in the sense that it will actually take us to a new consciousness.
Swali zile watu hawaulizi na swali muuliza na shangala ni aje kwani huku kunaendaje?
30 billion shillings annually on travel alone in public service.
A Kenyan can even demonstrate every single day of his life that Ruto must go. That is the only message of his demonstration. That is his right.
That bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and subverts the cause of those who are in the right.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
A very good morning to you. It's 8 minutes after 8 o'clock. Let's see if we can do it 7 for 7, 8 for 8, and let's see about 9 for 9. We'll also try. Good morning. We can have those conversations because it is the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. And on this Monday morning, the 18th, you knew that it wasn't going to be pretty. We just didn't realize that it was going to be like this. And so what are we talking about today? The very fact that transport is at a standstill, and whatever you're looking at, this is, and you might think that it is in your space, and then we go to that proverb which we're going to share in a little bit as we talk with Professor Kivutha Kibwana, because the question is, in your garden where you assume that it couldn't be a forest for somebody else, in your little space where you think, well, I can't get a public service vehicle from point A to point B, guess what? It's around the country. That whether we're looking at Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, Eldoret, Nakuru, whether you're looking at anywhere there is a public service vehicle that should be moving, it's not moving. If they are, they're moving at almost 10 times the cost. Guys, for somebody who has to take a vehicle that would normally charge them 30 shillings, it's now 200, Bob. That's just on the thicker superhighway. We don't know what it looks like otherwise. Somebody told me this morning that she was trying to come to my place this morning, but she couldn't do that because there were no vehicles at all. So it's a position where you say, just then essentially go home. So this is what we're dealing with this morning. And we're going to get an update from the eastern side of the city, coming in from Kitengela. And KTN reporter also, Vera Mora, is on standby to let us know what's going on there. I'm going to take a quick word from her this morning. Hello, Vera. Good morning. Hello, Vera, how are you? Hello, Vera, we can see you. Okay, so what we're doing is that we're going to get an update from Vera Mora, who is our reporter. She's on the ground at the moment, trying to help us get get some information as to what's happening on the roads at this point. She's in Kitengela, and as we can see from those pictures, there's very little that's happening on the roads today in terms of vehicles moving. There are a number of private vehicles on the road. We can see quite a lot of human traffic in terms of folks who are either standing at the stage or folks who are trying to make their way to a place where they think they can get some transport. So earlier on, of course, we spoke with Ian Kitani, who's on the other side of the city on the thicker superhighway, and now we crossed over just to see if the same applies over here, and we talk with Vera in just a minute as she joins us. I don't know if we can get her on the line now. Vera? Okay, so maybe what we're going to do is try and get a sound from her in a little bit. We can't seem to get her, but that's what the pictures look like at this moment in terms of not much happening. And folks have complained that they can't even get your proverbial motorcycle or border to be able to get you to go from one place to another. So it doesn't really look good. And this is Kitengela. The roads are empty. Nobody's going anywhere. Nobody can afford to go anywhere. And folks who may have to schlep it to work may have to do that this morning if they're going to then be able to get an opportunity to do so. We'll try and get back with Vera probably in about half an hour or so, but that's what the roads look like for now, and I will keep that on standby and allows us to continue our conversation this morning. And so now at about 11 minutes after 8, we're moving into that conversation. Professor Kibwana is here with us this morning. Good morning, Prof.
Asante sana. Good morning, Nduh.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I wish I could be doing better. Many Kenyans are not doing okay, and I'm one of them.
This is true. And I think you're going to let us into that as to why the state of the nation is the conversation that we're having this morning. So we thank you for doing that with us today, because one of the things that we try to do in this room is to have an open, honest, raw as it is conversation, because what that does is that it spurs people onto thinking, and hopefully that thinking will be spurred on towards an action. And so that you do this with us this morning, I think is of the utmost necessity and importance. And so thank you for doing that. As you know, Dennis takes us around the African continent. Every week we come from a different country with the proverbs. We'd love to get your interpretation.
And today we're in Gabon, a country that is rich. You talk about a nuclear reactor that every country wants to have. Gabon has one that is just natural. God just gave it to them like that. It's being explored. One would hope that if everything goes well, it would be the first country to use a natural nuclear reactor to produce power. But let's go to the proverb. To one who does not know, a small garden is a forest. To one who does not know, a small garden is a forest. How would you interpret it?
Well. I think any soil, if you apply yourself to tending it, can really give you very good results. So that you might think that this small garden is not really much, but people have a quarter acre and they do great things. They do their vegetables, and they can make quite a bit of money. But also when if you are to study what is in that soil, and it can be very complicated. What kind of nutrients are there, what kind of soil it is, and all that. So it is also as complex as a forest. So I think that Gabon saying is very rich.
Very rich. Well said, well interpreted.
Indeed.
Yeah.
The state of the nation, from your point of view, Prof, this morning, what is the state of the nation?
Sorry?
What is the state of the nation from your point of view this morning?
The state of the nation? We are not doing well at all. And I think even today, as the prices have really gone high of fuel, and those who, kind of help us in the private sector to transport us from home to work and back to home and everywhere, they have decided that these fuel prices are just too high. And it's not clear why they should be so high in our country, when in countries that we think are not doing as well economically, like even Burundi, Kampala, that is Uganda, Tanzania, somehow their fuel prices are lower than in our country. So even on that aspect alone, one can say that the immediate future doesn't look very good. So one must say that we are not doing very well. And when you inflict such high prices on your people, it is as if the government is a sadist. It doesn't really understand when people are hurting, when people require reprieve. So it's a distant government. It is as if it doesn't stay in Kenya. So and this is just one aspect. If of course you go to other aspects, like you go to the health aspect, you go to education, you go to there is hardly anything that you can say the government is doing right. And so as a Kenyan, as far as all other Kenyans are concerned, really we are in a bad state.
Yeah. It is interesting that you say this, because just a week ago, actually today, a week ago today, and then going into Tuesday, African countries came together towards the Africa Forward Summit. And it seemed as though at the end of that, there was a lot of euphoria in terms of where Africa is going, whether or not there was another, person in the room. But can you have forward-moving continents with such public dis-ease as is currently being faced in Kenya? I mean, we're talking about this morning, today, a real situation, not conjecture or fantasy. It's real. That today people can't go to work, schools are closed, children have stayed home. But we are moving forward, Africa-wise. Can we put the two together?
Are we going forward? As Kenya, as the continent? It is very worrying that we are not still able to do things for ourselves. That we have to rely on, foreigners, foreign governments to come and kind of tell us what is best for us and what we should do. And, after that meeting, forward looking, backward looking, after that meeting, immediately something happens which jolts us when we think that, there was something about going forward. Then we have this a backlash. So it's very ironical for that to happen. And, we remember vividly the leader of France on that stage, forgetting that he's in Kenya and he's not the president of Kenya, and actually telling, some of those African heads of states and so on to kind of shut up, which is very indicative of what really, I think that was also God sent in terms of telling them, that's what we think about you. So our AU, with the African Agenda 2063, I think that the kind of leadership that we have, most of the leadership across Africa, has really failed us, with a few exceptions. And they have not been able to reimagine Africa, to reimagine what can be done so that Africa takes its pride of place. We are told the 21st century is our century, but there isn't any indication from the leadership that they are working towards that. And I think that's why there is significant push by younger people, to reclaim their continent and hopefully be able to begin to reinvent it, to reimagine it, so that we also are on the world stage. Because as of now, we are just a place where, whether it is China, whether it is USA with Europe, wherever, they just come here for raw materials, particularly the rare earth minerals now, people want those. So it's a question of them just using us as a footstool, so to speak. And so I think we need, particularly the young folks, they need to really rethink where is this continent, going, like those of the leaders at independence, the Nkurumas, those, Lumumbas, those leaders were, Kaundas, Nyereres. They were actually saying, where do we want to take Africa? And even the idea of Pan-Africanism and all that. And that has been lost. So we have leaders who are not leaders.
Professor, you speak about the independence leaders, the Pan-Africanists that existed in the continent and their vision of where they wanted the continent to be at. And I want to relate that with what we see today, in the sense that we have leaders who, when they want to get elected, they literally come and beg Mwananchi and give promises that we will deliver. We look at where Kenya, for example, finds itself today, and one asks the question, the person who came begging for our vote seemingly has forgotten about the promises and what and why we gave them that vote. many are saying they don't care about us today. Would Kenyans be right in thinking so?
I think, you see, it's almost like drama. Because you know, it's a play, the play act that, you know, they are really going to do great things for people. They promise, you know, what a lot of our people would really want, have been waiting for. And because we haven't done a lot of civic or political education, and therefore our people on the whole have not been able to really distinguish when they're being told true things and when they're being played. And therefore there's a level of gullibility. People are considerably gullible. And when you have also the mix of ethnicity, when they get attracted to Mtuwetu, then, you know, they vote actually without trying to understand, you know, who is this person and what history does this person have. Is this somebody who in the past has been able to help us, you know, move forward, you know? So actually, a lot of us don't have votes because we are told by somebody who is supposed to be an ethnic king or queen. Mostly they are kings. We are told this is how we vote. So it is that person who is voting, not really us. So I hope the younger people will teach us that you need to really interrogate characters. They will teach us you don't just receive money and, you know, 500 shillings, sometimes 1,000 shillings, you know, I don't know, but 50, 100, 500, depending on, you know, who you are. So I am just thinking that as we go to 2027, there's going to be some new thinking so that people are not simply lied to, they buy the lies, and they are able to, you know, vote for people who have no history of helping anybody.
Prof, do you think that the current administration lied to Kenyans?
Well, I mean, because we were told that the people at the bottom of our society are going to be uplifted. And this was repeated ad nauseum, was repeated and repeated. It was like a song. You know, when now the president, you know, came to the position, it is like he forgot all those things that he had told people he was going to do. Therefore, it is clear that when he was promising all those things, he didn't mean them. Because if he meant them, he would be implementing them. So, again, it is my expectation that as people listen to those who will come to woo them, they will be very observant, they will think better, and they will do, you know, what should be done, because otherwise our country actually risks collapse.
So if I tell you that I'm going to make gas 300 shillings and I don't do it, neither do I offer you an explanation as to why I did not, was I lying to you?
Of course. If you tell me that you're going to invite me here and then you forget and I come and sit there and then eventually you come out and tell me that actually I didn't invite you and yet you had, because I can't come here, you know, when you have not invited me, unless something is wrong with my head. So it means you tell people, you know, all those nice things that gas will be, you know, almost free. And of course, those are the basic things. And therefore, people are likely to kind of believe you because they have problems with whether it is, you know, gas, kerosene, and all that. So I think if, for example, as a father, I tell my children, my grandchildren, things that are not true, it means that they're not going to believe me again. And so when a leader tells his people that certain things will be done and they're not done, one must ask what is in the mind of that leader to think that they can tell people things that he has no, he really will not want to fulfill them. And if he's not able to fulfill anything, you come back to the people and you tell them, these are the reasons why whatever we promised cannot happen. So, I mean, when one kind of sits down and reflects about this kind of leadership style, you know, one really, I think even in terms of the books that people research and write, it is not easy to find this kind of model.
I mean, Professor, you know, the promises that were given to Kenyans are things that Kenyans took to heart. Because I remember the time during the campaign period, there's also a line that was said, because at the time it was the Ukraine war, and it was said that the reason why fuel in Kenya is expensive is because of the taxes, and that once the president would get into power, President Ruto would get to power, he would address the problem and ensure that fuel prices go down. Today we see the complete opposite, which, as you've clearly said, he lied at that point, because what he did later, which was through legislation, we saw that fuel prices went up. But that notwithstanding, then, one looks at Kenyans, or how the political class views Kenyans. Are Kenyans so gullible that we are not able to read the room? Or is it the inverse, that the political class do not read the room and understand where Kenyans are, and that Kenyans will just take anything that is thrown at them?
Well, sometimes people are desperate, and if they are experiencing a very bad situation, the next person who comes along and tells them that I am now able to make them better,
the Messiah,
they kind of believe that one, because that's what is on offer. And so they don't go into the history of those new people and ask, okay, what have they done? And therefore, what they are promising, are they able to do it? Because even as of now, when we talk about the opposition, they are still at a level where they are not committing and saying that this is how we are going to change things. But I would imagine a time will come when they will tell us, that. So yes, the political leadership across the board is very sophisticated, and they are able to yarn, very good narratives about what they will do, will happen, and all that kind of stuff. And because we have been in a bad situation, we kind of embrace, whoever comes and tells us that, we are going to change things. And particularly when they're very convincing, they say, we used to work with this guy, we know him, and therefore, we are telling you he's not good, and we know how to fix things. So I think we have to be more discerning. And that's why I'm saying, although we haven't done a lot of civic education, political education, I think the young people, that's one of the responsibilities, to be able to talk to Kenya and to talk to themselves and be able to say that we really are going to scrutinize people. We are going to ask them, what have you done since you got into politics? And even wherever else you were, what did you achieve? Because we can't afford to keep on having, leaders who cannot help us. And even as you make promises, you need to demonstrate to us how you will actualize them. Where is the budget? Who are the people who are going to help you do it? Because I remember like Kibaki, when he said, education was going to be free in the primary level, already he had asked people to do the maths and be able to know that I'm promising something that I can deliver. And so there are important things that Kenyans are waiting for, like they are waiting for free health. I think they are waiting, not SHA. They are waiting for, free education. At least those two basic things, and they are doable because in other countries, they have been done. But then one has to tell us, where will you get the money from in terms of, will you, for example, minimize or do away with corruption, so that you can have the budget for what you promise. I think the promises must be real this time around.
How will Kenyans then be able to determine? Because one of the things you said is that when somebody has been in a bad situation, the next thing that comes round definitely looks a lot better than, what they've gone through. But how can you be sure that that which is being offered to you is the next best approach?
Well, I think, like what I said about discernment, it is like Kenyans getting to another level, because that happens in the counties, by the way. And that's why there's a lot of, about half the governors don't come back. Because the people are near them, and the people can kind of, feel them and realize what quality of leadership they're offering. And I think we need to upscale that to the national level, so that again, and I keep on emphasizing this question of what is your history? If it's politics, what have you done? Some of them were with Moi. So what did they do? How are you different from, the negative people within the Moi regime and all that? So, and of course, the media, if possible, can give us more information about, whoever it is who wants to, be a leader. And we have to listen carefully, and we have to really, discern. There's a lot of social media where people are discussing candidates and all that. But I am sure that without that kind of level of scrutiny, we may not get very far with whoever, the people that we think will supply the change that we need.
Prof, you've been around for a very long time, especially in the political class and law pretty much. And Prof, I would give an example in terms of the kind of leadership that Kenyans want to have. I'll take you back to the county where you served as governor, Makueni. And I visited there and I saw what you put up, the sand dam, and what that has done to the people and the locals there. When you banned sand harvesting, we've seen the change, especially in the topography, agriculture in the area. Today, you talk about the region, the food processing in Makueni, what you started helping farmers and the locals. One would say, when you look at what the professor did, it has helped the local communities for them to continue growing, which then the one who took after you has continued with what it is you started. Today, we talk about a country and aspirations that would be there. If given an opportunity, what kind of Kenya would you want to see, and how would you solve, one would say, the problems that you face today, especially around fuel crisis?
Well, I think like the mindset that I had when I went to Makueni was I was part of making the constitution. And therefore I knew what the constitution, said should happen. And of course, as a lawyer, I said to myself, we are going to implement the constitution simple. So if it is corruption, we are not going to accept that. Therefore, the resources that we have will be preserved and used for, the people. I knew about the poverty in the county. So one, said we are going to work to make sure that we change that. And we listen to these people, because if they feel that you are ready to listen to them, they're also creative. They will tell you, things that you should do together. For example, they said in terms of health, they actually told us that when we go to Kenyatta and we have to pay, sometimes we can't pay, and therefore, if somebody now dies, then we have to wait to raise, Harambes and all that. And even within then, because in the level of hospitals in Makueni, they were also paying. So they said, this is a big issue. This is one of the issues we want you to solve. So I didn't know what the answer was, but there were professionals, because we believed in having people who really knew in each docket what should be done. So we put the issue to them, and they gave us a solution. They said that if every household pays 500 shillings, we are going to get the same sum of money as when people go and pay in the hospital, about 100 million. And then we add more. And we are able to now make sure that for 500 shillings, each household, they get, every treatment that, we offer, apart from a few things where they would have to subsidize. Like if it's, you want good teeth more than, you want some gold, you have to pay and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think if you go to leadership to serve, and if you will not accept, you will not, as the leader, condone corruption, so that others realize that this guy, and even if sometimes your friends who do wrong, you tell them that you can't stay here. We have come here to serve. So I think it's the mindset. If you go thinking that this is time to eat, then nothing will happen. Of course, you will eat, but then the people will not be served.
Yeah.
So I think even in the past in Africa, like young Thomas Sankara, they killed him, but within a very short period, he did things that were not, which were not happening.
Yeah.
In terms of, for example, getting kids immunized, getting women recognized, beginning to really revive that country of the upright people. So I'm just thinking that we need to get leadership that listens to the people, respects the people, cares for the people. I say sometimes that in this country, Kenyatta tried to be a father of Kenya, but in the later years, he kind of dropped that. Moi also tried to be a father of the nation, particularly before the coup, the attempted coup, and he dropped that afterwards. Kibaki actually, perhaps, and of course one can say I'm biased because, he was a mentor, I loved him, he was a father, but I think he tried to be a father of the nation so that people feel secure. Securer, of course, the others, and of course he had his issues like every leader. Even when I was in Makueni, also I can't say that people did. Some people didn't criticize, say this and that. Huru was a buddy. You just he was a buddy, a nice guy. Now our current president. Maybe by the time we get to 2027 at the end of his term, I will make a comment about him. But for now, I reserve.
When we look at what and I keep saying that Kenya's problem today, right now, is a today problem, and that we talk about the macro economy in terms of the numbers doing well. But the micro economy in terms of people's pockets is debilitating. It is not a good situation at all. And unfortunately, that is how people ascribe proper leadership. If I'm doing okay, if a Kenyan is doing okay at this point and is able to sort out 1, 2, 3, you ascribe that to good leadership. That's just how people mark or rate. That it is not doing well at the moment is an indictment on the position of leadership. Is it the person who's going to fix the economy that essentially is going to fix that problem for Kenyans?
Yes, they are intertwined. They are intertwined because if the economy is doing well, then that wellness must percolate to the very ordinary person, to the household. For example, even these fuel hikes are going to influence that ordinary person who like now has to pay more for transport, almost double, like boda, matatu, double. If it is food, if it is everything, because when you increase these fuel prices the way they have been increased, it affects, all aspects. If it manufacturing, people will be laid off and all that. So you see the majority of the people are at the bottom. And that is why whatever you do for the economy must translate into them being, secure. Here we don't have, like abroad, we don't have, like people are not employed, giving them a stipend every month. So when you travel, like in Nairobi and elsewhere, you find a lot of young people on the streets. They are hawking whatever really cannot supply a livelihood, and yet they have to do that to see how little they can get, for themselves. So that they are in that kadogo economy, they are in that hope economy, and that's really very punitive for the majority of the people. If that is how you will run a country, to marginalize, to decimate the majority of your population, including the young people, even I should say, especially the young people. The other day, a border guy gave me a ride, and at the end, he told me that he has done business administration, and that he will give me his paper so that I can help him, and I think I will, do that to see whether anybody is interested. So, and there are many of them with their degrees, who are doing that kind of stuff. So, you can have those huge, indicators, GDP and what, but sometimes one doesn't know whether, it's just manufactured figures to look like we are doing well, because if we are not doing well at the bottom and doing well across, the businesses, are kind of collapsing. Many businesses are kind of collapsing, even of major private sector people. So I think at the end of the day, it is what you do so that the majority of your people have a livelihood, and you can see even in terms of happiness, the happiness index, and all that kind of stuff, which will tell you that your people are doing well.
The mark test of all of this at some point, because Kenya is a country that is ruled by the Constitution, and that there are laws that must be followed, that you can take that public dissatisfaction and turn it into a decision at the ballots in the next process of an election, or you can actually push forth your sovereignty that you've delegated to members of parliament and say you need a change. The latter of those two is unlikely to happen because of certain processes that have not been put in place. But the most decisive action that Kenyans have at the moment is to go to the ballots in 2027 and make a decision essentially about their pocket, about their children, about school fees, about, health. That's what essentially you're making a decision about when you go to vote. Looking at what happens during politics is that still money is sprayed around. People think a position will be taken by how much shillings are in a pocket. Are Kenyans ready, from what you see, to make this decision about how the change will appear in their pocket at the ballot come 2027? Are people ready? And if they're not, what does it take to get them there?
Well, I think something that is happening, which is not good. It is like, all these problems relating the economy, like this fuel thing, the taxes, like the new finance bill 2026. Again, it has issues that the Gen Zs were against. If it is like taxes on digital, space, even like all cars having to be so that like how the lorries and the matatus were inspected, all cars to be inspected, many aspects which really are dumbfounding, because these are the issues that made the youth come to the streets, and one thought one would, and it was promised that they were not going to be repeated. So those things are negative and are hurting, but they're also positive to the extent that they are going to convince people that if you want to get out of this rut, then you need to be serious about what happens at the ballot.
Yeah.
And again, I think the young people are driving this message, and I think the middle class as well, because actually a lot of the middle class are going to the working class. So that I think in a way all these negative things are going to tell people that we can't tolerate this. Another 5 years of this, and people will be beginning to ask, can I go to another country? And where do you go to? Tanzania has its problems, Uganda has its problems, Somalia has its problems. So where do you go? Where do you go to? Abroad, they don't want immigrants a lot.
Yeah.
So I think it's this realization that we can't sink lower. But again, people have to be weaned from this business of Mtuwetu, this tribalism thing, because that confuses people. And of course, some of the leaders think that if I give people money, if they are poor and I give them money, they will do what I want. So we have, to do more to get people to accept that this can't be tolerated anymore. I would not say that it is obvious. I wouldn't say that. I am thinking that we are getting there because of the pain that is being inflicted. And of course, truth be said, particularly Rick G is doing a very good job of pinpointing what are not the right things, and also the Linda Mwananchi group of Sifuna, Babu, and Orengo, Otsotsi, etc., etc. There is that, but it's not enough to simply think that if you have all those rallies, you are reaching people to change them fundamentally. That is what happens on top. But you have to do other things, smaller meetings, town halls, so that you can get the message to people that where we have reached, we cannot allow ourselves to continue in that path. And of course, I remember once saying that Ruto also is very good. President Ruto is also very good in terms of looking for numbers in elections, whichever way. From Youth for Kano 1992, 1997, when Moi thought he was not going to win, he was one of the leaders to help him win, even as a young guy. Come 2005 referendum, he was very, very pivotal in terms of delivering that referendum to particularly ODM. He did a lot of work, paid work for Uhuru in the two elections. He did a lot of work for himself in 2022. So he's not somebody to just think that, you are going to make a lot of speeches and get him down. So a lot of concerted work, therefore, is needed, and at the very grassroots level, not the touch and go rallies. They're good, they mobilize people, but unfortunately also in our country, the United Opposition has a rally, people come. Linda Ground has a rally, people come. Linda Mwananchi has a rally, of course a lot of people come. But so that is not decisive. So you have to do much more than that, so that you can really mobilize people for a huge push.
There has been a call that if you have a government in place that's not delivering for the people, or that you have many different people saying that they are the ones, that what must happen, looking into Kenya's situation at the moment, is that all of these who are in the would-be opposition must come together at whatever, at all levels, must come together to speak, number one, truth to power. Secondly, must say that we are the ones who are going to deliver this salvation to Kenya. And this is the person who's going to lead the pack. Do you think that's necessary for it to be done at the moment?
Well, I think that thinking is coming out of a desperation in terms of a realization that the president is a hard nut to crack. Therefore, it's as if a 2002 moment is required when all the opposition came together and were able to, through Kibaki, get about 2/3 of the votes, about over 60% of the votes. So I think there is similar thinking that really, because of where, this government is taking the people, it must be replaced. And for it to be replaced, that everybody who is not in government must come together. So there is that kind of thinking. And of course, we have seen previously people coming together at the very end, like whether it is Azimio, whether it was even the Tosha of Kibaki at the very, very, very end. Because sometimes they are also careful not to indicate who will be put forward, which people, president, deputy president, will be put forward, and then they are destabilized. So there's that fact again. But I think it is also important that these people who are going to come together begin to clearly say what is it that they'll do differently, and how will that be done. Whether it is where will the money be, where will be the people who can drive that, so that there is credibility. Because if there isn't that credibility, then some people, especially younger people, will say maybe we shouldn't vote, and that kind of stuff. So I think that's the bigger, for me, the bigger thing of what do they stand for, so that people can be convinced that this is really different. It's going to be different. And of course, some of the young people are beginning to think that there must be a content of young people in that leadership. If there isn't that content, they're thinking that it is business as usual. So again, that has to be looked at. But I'm thinking that I can't criticize them for not being able to say who will be the leader, because they're being baited to say it is, so and so, and then after that they are disorganized.
Right.
So I think they're being tactful. But the question is, like, when Akina Maraga, Akina Omtata, Akina Boni Mwangi, when those guys, came to the fore, it was thought that these are the people with a progressive agenda. But it didn't seem to gel. And then, somehow overtaken by this Linda Mwananchi group and so on. So maybe also those guys should come together with this Linda Mwananchi group and see what kind of formation is there, and continue to kind of agitate for the change that they think Kenyans deserve. Also the other guys, the alternative government or united opposition, also to do their job. Because this system, you can't approach it in a unilateral way. You have to approach it in different ways, because it is a complex thing. Ruto has the money. He has the government. He has all those chiefs. They are told, we want so many people, through your village elders, and the village elders are supposed to be paid some money now every month. IBC, again, he has an upper hand there. Even, trying to influence the Supreme Court. So you can see that he's a guy who thinks, lives, dreams how to win the election.
So, of course, we've got minutes to go, Prof. But this being a conversation, far be it from us not to ask the question on this elephant that's sitting in the room, that you set the bar pretty high in terms of leadership, and you don't take any of that credit. You say you did the job that was required of you when you were governor in Makueni, and we can't forget that, at some point when there was a little bit of noise, you said, okay, guys, shut the whole thing down, let's go back to the ballot, and people resoundingly chose you again. Then you went on to do your job. And many argue that the current governor of Makueni is actually walking in the shoes that you left, because, he continues to do a stellar job. But then the question that for most people is that, would you not come back in whatever capacity and show Kenyans, show other folks how it's done?
Yeah. I'm very comfortable as a teacher in 2 universities. But that does not really mean that, people do come back from retirement when it is necessary. And if the situation continues to be very dire, and, one was asked, why don't you lend a hand in 1 or 2 things? I don't think one will be in a position to say no. What I don't like is, sometimes people pump your head and say, you are presidential material, you are this and that, and it gets into your head, and therefore you come and you say, now I have come as a whatever. I am happy to serve in any capacity. And although I am in the classroom now, if the opportunity arose because one was asked to do now more than teaching, I have come to a position where I think I might not be able to say no, but it would be because one wants to serve, not necessarily because one wants a particular position. And I made a joke in one of the vernacular radios that to make sure that Makueni is good, I don't mind even being a nominated MCA.
Okay.
So of course some people have said, why can't you be a senator in Makueni? I'm not sure about that. So I think at the national level, if there was an opportunity to be of service, and it is to work with people who are like-minded, people who really care for the citizens of Kenya, maybe now I would seriously reconsider it.
Okay. There you go. There's your answer. And that would be a great cap to all of the things that we've talked about. See what you're seeing. See what you've seen. See what you should see in the future. He wouldn't mind, folks, perhaps to come and deliver it how it should be done. Professor Kivutha Kibwana, thank you for joining us this morning, having this conversation on the state of the nation. It won't be the last one. More are necessary in the near future. But thank you for doing this with us this morning.
Asante sana, and I wish you a very good day. And I wish Kenyans also a good day, although it is not a good day.
Yeah, indeed. Conversations continue. We go to the streets after 9. Good morning.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the news. I'm Sheila Tembur. Transport operations across the country have been disrupted as a nationwide strike over rising fuel prices takes effect, leaving commuters stranded on major roads unusually clear. In Nairobi and its outskirts, matatus were largely absent from key routes, with some operators doubling fares for the few vehicles still in service. Protesters also blocked sections of roads in areas including Ruiru, Kasarani and Mwiki. Similar disruptions were reported in Embu and Murang'a, where some roads and matatu stages were deserted. Major PSV operators including Super Metro and Metro Trans EL Limited suspended services in solidarity with the strike. Transport operators say the protest was triggered by the latest fuel price increase announced by the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, which significantly raised petrol and diesel prices in the May-June review cycle. Saboti MP Caleb Amisi is demanding an explanation from President William Ruto over the continued rise in fuel prices despite promises made during the 2022 election campaign. Amisi said Kenyans expect answers after Ruto previously criticized the high cost of fuel under former President Uhuru Kenyatta and compared Kenya's prices to those in Uganda. The MP said the rising fuel cost continue to affect transport, trade and prices of basic commodities.
Mafuta imepanda bei. Huyu rais wenyu ambaye mulichagua wakati alikuwa anatafuta kura akasema the problems of fuel during Uhuru's government was not occasioned by the Ukraine and the Russian war. William Ruto asked a question kwamba how come fuel in Uganda is cheaper than fuel in Kenya and yet it passes through Kenya ikienda Uganda. Now the same person today is the president of the Republic of Kenya. We are now here, William Ruto, asking you the same question you asked Uhuru Kenyatta. How come fuel today in Uganda is cheaper than fuel in Kenya when that fuel passes through Kenya?
Amisi also compared current fuel prices in Kenya and neighboring Uganda.
Fuel in Uganda is 180 per liter and in Kenya is 243 per liter, and yet it passes through Kenya to Uganda. Jibu ile swali uliuliza Rais Uhuru Kenyatta. And while on it, we want to say kwamba you are going to serve one term and it is going to be an example to all presidents.
To matters health, where the Ministry of Health has heightened Ebola preparedness measures following outbreaks in the DRC and Uganda. In a directive to county governments, the ministry ordered increased surveillance and screening at all points of entry and health facilities, especially in areas with high cross-border movement. Public Health PS Mary Muthoni said counties must designate holding facilities for suspected cases and strengthen public awareness and healthcare worker training. The move follows reports of more than 240 suspected Ebola cases and at least 80 deaths linked to the outbreak in eastern DRC. The WHO has since declared the outbreak a public health emergency of international concern and warned of possible regional spread. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta is expected to meet more than 10,000 Jubilee Party delegates from Kiambu County today at Kiambu Golf Club. The meeting will also be attended by Deputy Party Leader Fred Matiang'i, who has been named the party's presidential candidate for the 2027 general election, alongside Secretary General Moitalel Olekenta and other party officials. The party says the gathering will discuss key national issues. Matiang'i has recently intensified criticism of President William Ruto's administration, while maintaining that opposition leaders remain united ahead of the next election. And Machakos Deputy Governor Francis Mwangangi has called on opposition leaders to unite ahead of the 2027 general election in a bid to unseat President William Ruto. Mwangangi cited a recent TIFA survey showing President Ruto at 24% support, closely followed by several opposition leaders. A SADA poll indicates the opposition stands a strong chance of winning the next election if it remains united.
If we are together, tumeungana kwa kitu kimoja, Mount Kenya South, usidangane na hizi vitu nasikia. Ikiwa sitting president anapata 24% country-wide support, wale za candidate ya kwenda nyumbani express one, na hao wengine wote tumeambiwa waungana wako na at least minimum ya 76%. Sio ni serikali. Sasa wana mtu waache kukasirika. Maneno imekuwa hivyo, hata ulipe nini mfanye nini, mambo itakuwa hivyo.
And that's the news. I'm Sheila Tembor.
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
Parliament has got powers. Let me break it down. The National Assembly can initiate an impeachment of the president.
This same National Assembly.
Yes. That's our constitution.
Because this is just a continuation of the previous administration, which Ruto was part of. President Uhuru himself openly said that we're losing 2 billion daily. Daily. I mean, come on. Are you saying that we don't have a central bank?
If we look at Kenya, both public-private sector, that figure is ranging between 30 to 40%, right?
I think it's clear that the government of Kenya is living beyond its means.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
And there it is, and 9 after 9. We're able to do that this morning. 9 after 9, and able to do that this morning, getting into conversations. And thank you for being here this Monday morning, and for us to continue. Look, it's a crazy morning in the sense that people are trying to get where they need to go, and nobody's been able to do that. Well, very few people have been able to. The public system is, transport of a public nature has been shut down completely because the operators have said that the fuel prices are too high. Right now, they're applying an almost 150% increase to certain transport charges, transport rates, and people cannot do it. It's not a matter of can we try? People cannot do it. And even for folks who are trying to get a vehicle to get from point A to point B this morning are unable to do that because there are just no vehicles. And they said, we want to force a conversation whereby people talk to us about what is actually going on. Fuel prices were hiked. We had diesel going up by 42 shillings. We had fuel going up by, 46 shillings and fuel going up by about 40 shillings. It doesn't look good at all. And the question is, did this have to happen? We're having a conversation this morning and we're talking with you. Dear Mr. President, no philosophy here. Fuel prices are too high. It's a statement, and it's not a plea, it's not a beg, it's a statement. Dear Mr. President, the fuel prices are too high. Oftentimes we ask ourselves, in terms of solutions, what should the solutions be? Well, the MP for Kihara, Ndende Nyoro, has said there are solutions to this. There are ways in which you can actually have this done. We're going to listen to a couple of the things that he said. But before and after we do that, we're going to take a snapshot of what's going around the city, and we'll hear from you, and indeed around the country, and we'll hear from you at some point. It's not a statement of plea. It's not a beg. Dear Mr. President, the fuel prices are too high.
The drastic fuel increment in terms of prices will hurt the economy of Kenya to tunes of hundreds of billions. But the amount we need to bring down the fuel prices is not even a fraction of that. It is too minute. And therefore, I believe that we should be looking at seeing how we can reduce the fuel prices now, so that we arrest many other issues, including inflationary pressures, that will be inevitable. And this is the proposal that I have, and which is easy. One, the amount Kenyans pay at the pump for distribution and margins of importers of fuel and retailers and wholesalers is around 22 shillings. I'm proposing that we reduce by 4 shillings. Wakipata shilingi 18 hawatafuga biashara. Kila mtu sasa lazima akaze mshipi. The second thing is that we must reduce our VAT further from the current 8% to 0. In the short term, we must exempt fuel products from VAT. And the third one is that we must do away with the road maintenance levy fund, Kenya shilling 7, that was added in the year 2024 by this government. I have gone further and tabulated the amount of money that Kenyans are going to save. And if we do those measures immediately, the fuel prices in terms of pump prices in Kenya will climb down to both of them below 190 shillings. That is diesel and petrol. Around 186 shillings for super petrol and 189 shillings for diesel. These issues, some of them need some involvement of Parliament, and it is for that reason that I have already written to the Clerk of the National Assembly of my intention to amend the VAT Act so that we exempt especially super petrol, diesel, and kerosene from VAT, and consequently make all those products VAT exempt and move them to the first schedule. The other thing is that I've already written to the National Assembly on the intention of amending the road maintenance levy fund by abolishing the 7 shillings that was added in the year 2024. Again, as I said before, this will give reprieve to Kenyans that the current diesel and super petrol prices should come down to around to below 190 for a litre of either. The other thing that maybe it is important for me to highlight, which is building up to that price, is also the subsidy. Diesel, as you saw in the circular, the added cost is higher. And for those prices to come to the ranges I'm talking about, we must also provision 5 billion Kenya shillings from the Fuel Stabilization Fund so that we reduce diesel by around 24 shillings. That is why the math is coming to around 189 for diesel. All those measures will stabilize our economy in terms of not have a very erratic inflationary pressures, and also we are going to have some stability in the medium and long term.
So he said it. oftentimes you're saying, well, don't just castigate, then talk about the issues that could actually be brought about that will solve the problem. And there he's told you, he's done the math. And then he said there are ways to actually bring this down. He's talked about the road maintenance levy fund, reducing that amount by about 7 bob. You talked about removing VAT on super petrol and diesel and kerosene. We know that kerosene remains unchanged in the latest EPRA announcements, but that there are ways in which this can actually be brought down. He's also talked about reducing the amount to pay at the pump from 22 shillings to 18 shillings. And if you did all of that, combine these numbers that he's talked about, which, by the way, people would still then be able to make their money if that's what they were after, that you could actually see fuel with the same parameters brought down to below 190 shillings. Answers given. So you're going to ask the question in terms of who is where with the issues that we have this morning, right? And are likely, if EPRA announcements remain this way for the next, I don't know, many days until the 14th of June, that there are ways in which you can actually sort this out. It can come down to 190. The question is, do you have an appetite to do so? Well, if that appetite is not showing, it's definitely showing on the streets this morning. And this is not just in Nairobi, this is around the country. But we're going to start in the CBD this morning, where Clement Modachi is on with us, is our reporter, and he's going to patch in with us in just a minute to tell us what it looks like on a Monday morning when folks should be all over the place, basically going where they need to go. They're not. Clement, good morning. Hello, Clement, good morning. Okay, I don't know if he can hear us or if we're going to be connected with him in just a bit, but we're trying to get in touch with him to then be able to give us an update about what's happening in the CBD of Nairobi. And we'll make our way around the country today, just to then be able to hear what the current situation is. But we'll hear from more people as we do today. We know that a lot of schools are closed. Children are not in school. There were a lot of announcements that were sent last evening to let parents know that schools would be temporarily closed because of the situation. So remember, it's not just school buses trying to get to school. It's the people who are going to operate those buses who will not be able to get to school, because we know that drivers don't take buses home. It's the staff who show up at school to then be able to make things happen, that have to use public transport at one time or another, that are not going to be able to get there. It's the teachers. It's really people. We don't realize just how many people use PSVs to get to work every day. And it's also people who can get there but will use public transport to get home. So schools are closed. That's not going to happen. People who are going to work in different sectors, whether you call them essential staff or non-essential staff, will not be able to do this because of the situation on the roads yet again. And we're seeing streets that would normally be a beehive of activity on a Monday morning that are like ghost streets today. Because why? People have said we are not going to operate these vehicles when we're having to charge people 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times what they would normally pay. Number one, we are not able to buy this fuel for almost 50 shillings more than what we bought it for just a couple of days ago, because we have to transfer that cost to the end user. And the end user in this case is not able to pay for that. That's the situation in which we find ourselves this morning, folks. So the question continues to be, from where we are, how are you faring this morning? We want to hear from you as well. We'll take your calls, but at the same time, we want to get an update about what's happening in different areas. We know that Kitengela at this point might seem a little bit iffy, because we see that police presence has been introduced here as well. In terms of keeping folks who may likely protest at bay. So we want to get in touch with our reporters at some point, but we'll also hear from you. Do let us know what is happening in your neck of the woods. And we'll do that in just a minute. I'm just going to get a word from Evelyn as soon as I can have it, in terms of who we have on the line. But we'll also hear from you this morning, like I said. Have you tried to get to work? Folks are saying, I want to walk. If I have to walk, let me walk. And then so I can walk to work and come back. Is it possible that people are not understanding of the situation and are asking you to show up at work no matter what you have to do to get there? This is not a fun situation, but it's the one that we've dealt with this morning, basically. So to hear from you this morning is what we'd love to do. We'll do that in just a minute as we get updates about what's going on. We'll also take some views from what's happening in Kitengela. I think we have Clement on the line now. Hello, Clement. Good morning. No? Yes? Is she shaking her head? I don't know what's going on there. Okay. So the situation that we look at it now is that we heard from other updates previously. Tell us also on our socials, on YouTube, Facebook, and on X, what's going on where you are. Talk to us about the situation. If you're holed up at home and not being able to move, if you're having to work from home because of this, just so that you understand, it's that folks are not being able to move with public transport this morning because of the fact that they've said, well, we're going to down our tools. We're not putting vehicles on the road because the fuel costs are just too high. Dear Mr. President, it's not a plea. It's not a conversation about whether somebody thinks it good or not. The fuel costs are too high, and we know that it's going to affect every sector of the society, whether we're looking at industry, whether we're looking at school. That's clear from this morning. Folks being able to get to work, the public service industry, people are not going to get to work today. I dare say that even people who are in the public service will not be able to move this morning. And we're looking at 9:20 on a Monday morning. Doesn't look so exciting in terms of what will happen here. So we're taking your views. We're taking your experiences this morning. So do talk to us about what essentially this looks like in your neck of the woods. All right. So we saw this morning that in Kitengela, roads are empty. The vehicles are not on the road. PSVs are not functioning. We've heard from different parts, from South B to South C, off of Mombasa Road, where public service vehicles are not moving. And there we have it, just some pictures that we're seeing now. People in the streets, and this happens to be Kitengela from earlier on, where folks are now just kind of milling around in the streets, and we're asking questions in terms of then what is going to happen, then moving. All right, so we have an update from Kitengela. Vera Mora is on the line, actually from what she was able to share with us earlier in a bit.
Having their field day here and, constantly saying that they have to protest in order for the fuel prices to come down, as indicated earlier. I spoke to a few youths earlier on, and what they were saying is that what they're protesting about is the fuel prices. Food commodities are very high. Transport is actually very expensive. I'll show you the far end where we have buses actually parked all the way, and also commuters from this side can also not continue with their businesses. A lot of circles actually are grounded, have grounded their vehicles, and nobody is moving from this side to the other side. Allow me to say that we have actually been barred by the youth from covering them for the fear of being victimized by, the government if they are seen on camera protesting, and that is why we are far away to this area. But so far, the Kitengela police station is actually a few meters from here, but no police officers have actually come out to quench the whatever is happening on the road. Aseto, allow me to also say that this protest began at 7 a.m. in the morning up to now, and no police have come so far. As I mentioned earlier, this is the Kitengela-Namanga highway. It has been chaotic. No vehicles allowed to move in or out. And this is actually the road that connects Machakos County and all the way to Nairobi County. We will be going ahead to Mlolongo, where we have the way bridge, to see if any activities are actually ongoing. But at the moment, we cannot move back to Kitengela, or rather into Kajiado County, because of the many roadblocks that the youths have actually put up using the bonfires that they have lit. As I said, we have actually been barred by the youths from approaching them because they are afraid of being victimized of organizing the protest. Allow me to give you a view of what is happening on the other side. I hope my camera person can give you the right photos or images that are coming from Kajiado County. This is the border in the EPZ road heading to Kitengela town and Kajiado, to be more precise, from Kitengela, the Mlolongo highway. Aseto, what has happened here since morning is what the youths have called protests to tell the government that they need to lower the prices of fuel, and that includes diesel and petrol, which have surged very high in the historic record of Kenya. Youths have said they will be out here until the president, or rather the authorities, address them to tell them the way forward, because now they cannot afford essential commodities. Earlier on at around 6 a.m. I was at Kitengela Market, and a few lorries were there parked, and nobody was actually offloading or loading the items because the market is equally closed, and the shops in Kitengela are equally closed. We have seen Kitengela town in previous protests, how things usually erupt into being chaotic scenes, youths looting their shops. And that is why perhaps most of the shop owners and business operators opted to put their shops closed rather than opening on such a specific day. Aseto, I will be coming back to you with more details of what happens, but so far those are the live scenes from Kitengela town, and this is actually the border of Machakos County and Kajiado County. Back to you, Aseto.
All right, we're seeing that those are pictures shared on KTN with Vera Mora as she tells us what's going on in Kitengela. That's the place to watch during the day. But we're going to cross over to the CBD at this point and hear from Mordecai Okumu, who is in the CBD, to let us know what's going on there. Mordecai, good morning.
Good morning, Nduh.
How are you doing, man?
I'm doing fine. I'm coming to you live from Ambassador, right at the heart of Nairobi Central Business District, Ambassador Bus Terminus. And what we're able to currently see or witness is there's only a single city shuttle bus that always plies the Eastland route, and that is unusual, as this is always a busy bus terminus. And what is happening currently on my other side, just near Nairobi Archives, is that a few youths are trying to group to protest over the rise in cost of fuel, and a few whom we have spoken to here in town, including border operators, are saying that the fuel hike has become untenable, and that as the protest by Matatu and motorist associations for the transport sector alliances takes effect, they're arguing that it is time the government listens to them. And our spot check across the CBD today, early in the morning, we have been able to establish empty bus terminals and Matatu stages as commuters remain stranded. This follows a directive by the Matatu Transport Operators Alliances that issued a directive yesterday evening saying that they will not operate today, and that their members were supposed to block all roads just to protest the government to reduce the high fuel prices that they're saying have become outrageous. These as well, we have as well established police. The police are patrolling in town, some in horses, others in vehicles, others as well are patrolling on foot with their vehicles stations. We are able to witness about two at Kenya Archives with the police just trying to monitor the situation to ensure that the CBD remains calm. Though as of now, the streets are largely, in Nairobi CBD, the streets are largely empty, and commuters are stranded. Some we have spoken to who came to town to pick their parcels, some to pick their goods, and they're saying they are not able to get to their destinations as there are no buses. We're only able to see a few private vehicles around, and that is so far the situation in town as well. Shops are largely empty. Shops are largely empty, and this can be attributed to people failing to get to town. This is an unusual happening or occasion, especially on a Monday, that many can equate to a ghost town. And that is the situation currently as of now. Any question from you, Nduh?
Yes, Okumu, let me ask you, are folks looking like they want to stay in town if they can get a vehicle? Are they waiting, or are we seeing folks leaving? And if they're leaving, how are they doing that?
Okay, some are living on foot, but largely many people are stranded. Some are seated across many places people are just commuters are just stranded. They're trying to just look at perhaps any means. Some are using the border, and that is likely how the situation is in town. Though it is not a usual Monday in Nairobi's usual busy CBD.
That's all understood. It's likely that there might be a change later, but we want to thank you so much, Okoh, for giving us that update at this time to then be able to see how it operates, or rather opens up later on in the day. But Asante for sharing that with us this morning. And, from where you are, brother, keep safe. We'll talk and update in a bit.
Thank you.
Asante. Well, this is what it looks like. That's in the CBD this morning, and we'll take a look at what may be happening in other parts of the country at this moment. We'll probably get a snapshot from what's going on in different parts in just a while, and we'll also hear from you on 0732-142-650, 0732-142-653, to then be able to understand where were you this morning. I see a lot of questions, a lot of comments saying that, I had a class this morning, I was supposed to teach, I have business to attend to, but I can't get there where I'm going. And this is the reality for the majority of people. Let me tell you, if you have a vehicle and you're driving yourself somewhere, you're in the minority. We might think that it's people on the cars. No, the people who depend on the public service vehicles to get where they're going are the folks. A lot of us who this morning are stranded, and in terms of how you're going to get home, that becomes the question. And that it looks like it's a bit of a volatile situation this morning in certain parts of the city in terms of who's going to then be able to get where, but not just in Nairobi, in other parts. I mean, this is news coming to us from Mombasa, coming in from Njeri, coming in from Kisumu, in terms of who is going where. And that, dear Mr. President, the cry this morning is that the fuel prices are too high and that something has to be done about it. In this interim, it's not about the politics. It's let's major in the minors and say that, in this case, the minor being the pockets of Kenyans, there is very little shilling left to then be able to fuel. And I'm not necessarily just talking about the liquid in the tank. So there's very little left to then be able to go about. In some cases, there's nothing left at all. And so those are the questions that we're asking this morning. Not asking really, but those are the statements that we're making this morning, that folks have woken up to a very difficult Monday morning in terms of what it looks like on the streets today, and to be able to ask the questions about what will happen in the course of today. It's very clear, again, that schools have been shut down. For today, there's temporary closure of schools because who's going to get where they're going to then be able to deliver education. And so that's the Monday morning that we wake up to. We're taking your calls this morning again, 0732-142-650, 0732-142-653, to then be able to hear from you in terms of what your situation is this morning. We're taking your comments as well on our socials, on Facebook, YouTube, and on X, to then be able to understand from your point of view what exactly may be going on. And so, even as you do, if you have to be home this morning, we're going to ask you to please be very, very careful, that there's a likelihood that we might have, some movement here and there that may not be too exciting. So then be very careful no matter what it is that you have to then deal with this morning. Let's also hear from you directly in terms of what might be happening in your little space, or rather in this case, in your big space. And then we'll be able to share that as we get it. So we'll take a quick break now. We'll take a look at what's happening in the skies. Will the rain come down? We don't know. But then to be able to also get a look at what's happening with weather and traffic, and then we'll come back from that in a little bit. Sawa. All right. Don't forget that you can talk to us. Let us know. This is the Situation Room. As we hear from some of our reporters on the streets this morning, and then to be able to get a look into that, let's take a quick look at traffic and weather, and then be able to come back with that in a short while. All right, good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life. Traffic.
All right, what's going on? Not much. There's not much traffic in the city this morning. Just taking a quick look at what's coming off of the Thika Superhighway this morning, and very little traffic as you get there. Actually, none at all. And we have empty streets this morning, and it doesn't look like it's going to change into anything beyond that today. We're also looking at a very empty North Airport Road that usually would be busy at this time, and that doesn't much seem to be happening here. We're also looking at traffic that is non-existent coming off of Mombasa Road heading into the city and the open streets. The most traffic that you'll probably see this morning is human traffic, and so that's one to watch, one to look into today. Let's see how that all happens, and if you're at home or where you are watching this on TV, keep safe either way. Let's talk SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. SpiceFM.
Spice up your life.
So many forward here. Titles are on the line. Rivalries are at their peak. This is the final stretch where legends rise and champions are made. From the Saudi League to the Bundesliga and La Liga. Recharge your monthly subscription today to feel the pressure, feel the passion, feel the game. Every pass, every goal, every moment matters. Don't miss a moment. Renew your subscription and stay in the game. To renew your subscription, dial *858# for self-service or get in touch with our call center on 0719 077 077 for customer care. Buy a StarTimes decoder at any of our dealer shops countrywide. Download the StarTimes On app to enjoy all your favorite shows and stream live channels on the move. StarTimes. Enjoy digital life. Sebastian Allaire.
Spice FM. Spice up your life.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
You have land, Dennis. Okay, your own land. You use your own money to build it, and then you sell it to yourself.
But we don't want foreign troops on Kenyan soil.
But surely it goes a little bit deeper. This is it.
If you find the tree is withering, then you call the person who is managing that tree. Come around.
Yeah,
Why don't tell me what is
first of all, what's the problem?
Yes, what is the problem there?
How do we expect ourselves to move forward as a country?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
Baba should disown these experts and say they went there on the, because he keep on telling us that these experts just you came from Dubai and you found them they already at State House looking for jobs.
Government has to has to introduce austerity measures. It's something that this government and the previous ones have not been able to do in this country. We've talked about it so many times.
And really, I think you have seen the modus operandi of William Samoei Ruto since he came in. It's just showbiz.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Very good morning to you, and we continue with our conversations this morning. It is 22 minutes to 10 o'clock, and we've been dealing with many hours of folks being unable to get where they're going this morning because of the crippled transport situation in the country, and this is due to the increase in petrol and diesel that happened on the morning of the 15th of May. That's just 3 days ago. And there was a promise that this morning there would be a total shutdown of transport. And that was not just a promise, but it was actually acted on. And I saw a funny comment this morning that you can imagine if other promises that were promised were actually acted on. I mean, and just as on a light note there, but the situation is extremely heavy this morning. And I just saw a comment now, and I said to myself, oh my goodness, I didn't realize this. For folks who are going to hospital this morning, who are using public service vehicles, what happens to them? Are they walking with a condition? And this is the question that we're asking this morning. Well, we're going to cross over at this point to get a bit of a situation report as to what is happening. And we're going to then get on to Nakuru. Ken Gashuhi is our reporter, and he's in Nakuru this morning. Ken, good morning. Hello, Ken, good morning.
Yeah, it's a good morning here in Nakuru. We are seeing transport being paralyzed because of the ongoing protest by public transport vehicle operators. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean,
as of now,
yeah. What's happening right now? We seeing other parts of the country are at a total standstill. There are folks who are outside trying to get a public service vehicle. What exactly is the situation in Nakuru this morning?
Well, just a few roads have already been blocked so that they have tried to stop movement of vehicles, but most of the matatu owners and also those in heavy commercial transport business have kept their vehicles away, maybe at their various parking lots. So within the town, there are no vehicles that are moving around. And at the moment, I'm at the Nakuru bus terminus, which is very deserted. We have like around 6 matatus that are still here but empty. We have no drivers, we have no passengers. They're just deserted here. And within the bus terminus, which is now empty, the local youth have converted it into a pitch, and they're just playing football, going to show just a show of how much the situation has been affected, or the transport has been affected, because there is no other transport-related activity that is going on. Now they are just playing. They have improvised goalposts, and they have even brought about, they have contributed some small cash and purchased a football, and they are just playing around here.
That's interesting, that even in the state where things are quite sticky, that folks are finding an opportunity to have a little bit of fun. Are there people who are still waiting for vehicles? I mean, you've told us that even heavy commercial vehicles have parked, matatus have parked, buses have parked, and we also know Nakuru to be an intersector area where people are coming in and out, going up country and are going east. What are people actually waiting for hope that somebody will have a conversation and move things along, or have people resigned and gone back home? What's the case?
Well, we had a few passengers here in the morning, but the offices for the various transport circles were closed, and so they just gave up on having the matatus move. So at the moment, the terminus is empty. No passengers, no drivers, just a few matatus parked here, because there is no hope of maybe resuming transport, maybe until later in the day. But of now, the passengers have resigned to fate. Most of them have moved back to their homes, and we are expecting that perhaps later in the day we shall be seeing some of them resuming business. But at the moment, I'm being told that at free area, which is along the Nairobi Nakuru highway, we have youth who are already there chanting and blocking the highway. So from here we'll be heading there to just give our listeners an update on exactly what is happening.
All right. Gashohi, thank you very much for that. Perhaps in a short while, we can then come back to you and then be able to get an update for that. But thanks, brother, for being able to share that with us. Let's come back to you in a bit. But of course, you know, as you see it, you'll definitely let us know.
Thank you very much.
Asante. All right, so that's what is happening in Nakuru. And like I said, you can imagine everybody who moves in and out of Nakuru on an hourly basis, not just a Monday morning. All of that is at a standstill. People have parked and people are playing football at the terminus because nothing else is happening this morning. So that's what it looks like in Nakuru. We're going to skip over in a little bit, and we're going to come back into Nairobi. We're going to go up to Waiyaki Way, coming past Westland, and Musungu will tell us about what's going on there in just a bit. But we're also hearing, looking at your comments this morning and focusing, this would be the time for somebody in a position whereby a decision can be made about what could possibly happen to ease this burden should be talking. But the silence, just like the loud noise, speaks just as loudly. All right, so we'll come back to that thought in a bit. But Anne Musungu is on the line and will then be able to share a little bit about what's going on where she is this morning. She's on Waiyaki Way. Anne, good morning.
Good morning, Nduh.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm currently around Waiyaki Way, and the situation is dire.
What are we talking about here?
We can see lots and lots of people commuting to work. Most of these people going towards Westlands and its environs, and even some are going to town because they don't have any option to work. On our way here, we even saw some hope at the back of lorries just to save the distance. Earlier, we spoke to some commuters, and we can see the frustration. Most of them are trekking from Kangemi, Waruku, and even around Kawangware. And most of them are saying they started the journey as early as 5 a.m. in the morning. Yes, the matatus that are there, the commuters are saying the few matatus that are on the road, the prices are extremely crazy. For a distance that on a normal day is around 30 shillings, today has 30 or 20 shillings today has been exaggerated to around 100 plus shillings.
Wow.
Yes, this is simply as a result of the ongoing strike that is affecting the transport industry and the consumers of petroleum at large that was effective midnight.
So, Anne,
following the surge of...
Okay, but you've said that there's still some people who are standing in that area. Now, this is a question that we've asked a lot of our other colleagues this morning, that there's still people who are in the area. What are they waiting for? Is there hope that some announcement will be made, that some vehicles will give up and come out later? What is the thing that's keeping people on the road at this point?
I think for most who cannot commute to their workstations, which are way far, they hope that at least the fare or the car prices might go a little bit down, so that they may be able to go with hopes that maybe this can be a one-day thing, and tomorrow things may go back to normal and resume their normal duties.
Okay. Another question, which may be a little bit political here. Are people making a connection as they see it there standing on the road? Because we're talking this morning and we are saying lower the fuel prices. There's nothing else here. Are people making a connection between high prices, a chance for leadership to talk here, and the reason why they cannot go to work? Is there a connection, or are people on the street just saying, look, we can't get a vehicle, let's do something about it? What's the conversation around here?
For most people around here, it's actually about the consideration that they really voted for the government, and this is what is happening to the common man issue on the ground. Some of them are very frustrated, and they cannot wait for 2027 to vote again. They're just asking the president, why are you doing this? We voted, you say the fuel prices won't go up, and then we're seeing the common man issue. We've seen old women trek long distances, and they're very frustrated.
Well, I mean, and that is continuing. I know that Anne, you're still there to then be able to talk to us about what's going on later, but thank you for this update. This is Anne Musungu. She is on Waiyaki Way in the Westlands area, and we're seeing people walking. We're seeing people waiting, but there's a lot that we're not hearing. Anne, thank you very much. We'll keep up with you later and find out what's going on. Be safe.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks. All right, so that's what it looks like there. I mean, taking a snapshot from there, we saw pictures from Kitengela earlier to then be able to see what the situation is, and then also heard from the CBD. We're coming out to Nakuru to see what's going on there. So, I mean, safe to say that around the country, the situation is the same. I heard from Ian Kitani earlier on, and he was on the Thika Superhighway. He was heading to another area, which should be bustling with activity on a Monday morning, but unfortunately is not. We'll see if we can hear from him in a short while, but for now, this is what it looks like around the country. It's a standstill. What is it that we're not hearing? That by now, should we have heard something? When on a Monday morning, the economists have already told us that in a couple of hours, when there's no movement in a country which depends on transport to push its economy, how much have you lost? And perhaps a conversation, or at least the communication, should have been made at this point. It doesn't seem to have been the case. Grace Nganga is on the Thika Superhighway. We're going to hear from her in just a little bit in terms of what's going on here. And she joins us. Grace, good morning. Perhaps we've just not yet connected with her. Hello, Grace. Good morning. Let's pick up which one is Grace here. Okay. Hello.
Hello. Good morning, Nduh. It's Ramsula.
Oh, Ramsula, how are you?
I'm fine.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm at home, and I just want to tell dear Mr. President, please act. I'd just like to request the President to act and listen to the cries of Kenyans. It's really unbearable. We can't live. We want to survive. Please act.
Please act.
And yes, so that's just what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rahim Sula, for calling this morning. And that's it, basically. We're saying that, the prices must come down. Thank you for that. The prices should come down. There's no philosophical conversation here. It's not going to get political. That you need to move an economy. You need to have things in a position whereby people can afford to move. We're going to get into a quick update with Grace Nganga in a short while. She's on the Thika Superhighway to then be able to tell us what is going on there. We'll take her in as soon as we can. We're hearing from you this morning, and the conversation is not whether you vote for who or you vote for who. Lower the fuel prices today. Hello, Grace?
Me now?
Hello, yes, we can hear you now, Grace. Good morning.
Good morning, my darling. We are walking.
Oh, are we walking?
Literally a walking nation.
How so?
I'm currently here at Jogoo Road, and if I tell you it's a walking nation, it is a walking nation. All matatus have been packed at various petrol stations. We were trying to see there were some matatus that were trying to make their way, but the crowd got a bit rowdy because it's all about solidarity when it comes to matters like this.
Yeah.
So it is all about walking. They are complaining a lot about the fuel prices. They're saying it does not make sense why our neighbors theirs is a bit lower than ours. They're really trying to understand why. And also they are saying that in terms of food prices and commodities are already skyrocketing because fuel is charges almost each and everything. Also, the electricity bit has also increased by, I think, 4 shillings. So they're saying we are literally at a lower, we're not at our best, literally, when it comes to the economy and also when it comes to fueling. So people have been working, others have not managed to go to work. They're complaining a lot. They are saying that their day has been disrupted. Others normally go take the commodities from one place to another. They're saying now for today, they're just going to stay home and they're not going to have anything to take home for their kids because they have to take the commodities from one place to another. So Nduh, it's really an ugly stare here from Jogoo Road, but we are still camping site to see more. But as I've said, there is literally no matatu on the road, no matatu, just private vehicles are the ones that are managing to cross through, but the roads are very clear, unusually clear. Someone may confuse Monday for Sunday, Nduh.
Indeed. I mean, and Grace, where you are is a very, very ordinarily busy place. I mean, we give updates from Jogoo Road, and it's usually the place whereby there's a lot of traffic. So for that to be at a standstill is a crazy thing. And one of the things that you said earlier, and I think is interesting as well, is that people are walking. Where are people going?
People are walking. No, I'm telling you, it's literally a walking nation. Left, right, and center, people are walking. Others are saying that they're going to make their way to town. Others are saying that they're just walking to see, where are we heading? Where? Others are just saying, yeah, I'm just walking. I just want my day to pass so that I can go home because I don't know what I'm going to take to my kids. So literally, people are walking. Others are saying they're just walking to work. They have no otherwise. They have to try and get a fend for their families. It means walking. Others are saying they're standing in solidarity with the matatu sector. Others are saying they're standing in solidarity with the hustlers of the nation. They're saying that they're going to go to town and see where people are converging so that they can bring out a message to the president that these fuel prices needs to be lowered. Others are also calling for the resignation of Energy Cabinet Secretary Kibwana, saying that he ought to have done better than this.
He could have communicated. And that's another thing that you keep bringing them out, Grace, that here is that folks are saying, well, this is okay, but there are folks who depend on a daily basis to then be able to get something to eat. So even with this going on, they can't remain at home. They must go out, see what they can find so that they can bring it back to their families. That's a reality for a lot of folks, is it not?
Exactly.
Grace,
but we are here on the ground, and of course we'll be updating your viewers anytime when you get any updates from our end.
Indeed, thank you very much. She's Grace Nganga. I call her Ganga, but thank you for being here and then being able to update us on that. Definitely then being able to keep up in touch with you as we go along. Thanks, my dear. That's what it looks like. And so the reality of this is driven home a lot further, just from what we're getting updates from Anne to Grace to Modachi to Ken in Nakuru, Ian, who was on the Thika Superhighway, Thika Road before that, and then Vera Mora, who was in Kitengela. The thing is that people have decided that they're not if they are not going to be able to get the transport to go where they're going, beyond the brick and mortar of it, is that people have said we will walk. We will walk where we are going, and so that you can understand that the message that we're trying to send today is that you lower fuel prices. We can have a political conversation tomorrow. We can have a political conversation later. But the truth of the matter is that at this moment, in order to run things, we need you to lower the prices of fuel. The high fuel prices means that people cannot get where they want to go. It means that schools have shut down today. It means that learning is not happening. Hello? It means that people who need to go to hospital using a public service vehicle cannot do that. Hello? And so that it means that people who needed vital health care today may not be able to get that. So it may seem as though we are just talking about fuel prices, but it has a ripple effect on everything else that is going to happen. Just the same way when you raise fuel, that your unga is more expensive, your everything else that you need to do is more expensive. We're saying that today, you cripple the transport system, you cripple the economy, you cripple people. That's what you do. And the reason why this is crippled is because the prices are too high. You are at 190, and then you wake up the next morning and you're at 242. What are people supposed to do? The deafening silence that we're hearing from the quarters that should actually do something about it perhaps is a little bit more cause for concern, that there should have been a statement. Somebody should have said something. The way schools said last night that we're not going to open tomorrow perhaps is what we should have been hearing from the Ministry of Energy, who IPRA sits under, by the way, that this is the situation that we're probably going to be met with. Or did they imagine that the transport system, or that those who operate the transport system in the country were, joking, and that you were going to call their bluff? So what have we seen this morning, just in terms of an update for you, is that folks have said that we're going to walk. We're going to walk. Folks are walking from Jogo Road to the city. Folks are walking from the Thika Super Highway to the city. People are walking on Mombasa Road to then be able to do what? Two things. Number one, be in solidarity with others who said, are we going to send a message to the president? Or are we going to say, let's go and look for something that we can eat today? That's the reality that we're dealing with right now. And so across board, whether we're talking about people who are stranded, people who cannot, people have lost money today. People had to show up to do something today and have not been able to do that. But people are trying to go somewhere to then be able to get something so that they can be something. Dear Mr. President, the fuel prices are too high. This is not about what political side you're on. This is about a reality that affects everybody. It doesn't really matter where you are this morning, that the fuel prices are too high and Kenyans are willing you, even if it's going to be done from Baku, where you are at the moment, that people are willing you to have a conversation, and beyond a conversation, to do something about the situation, which is crippling everybody at this point. Some of us are sitting here and we're not even sure how we're going to go home today. People are not even sure how, and beyond that, people are not sure how they're going to get something to eat today. People are not sure how they're going to take their sick to hospital today. That there are people who should have been discharged today and will use a public service vehicle, but I can't do that today. And so you know what that does? Is that it gives them an extra day in hospital. Are they supposed to walk home? Are people supposed to walk to take their sick to hospital? People who depend on a daily bread situation every day, this has been compromised, and it's been compromised heavily. This is the real situation. Dear Mr. President, the fuel prices are too high. Dear Mr. President, the fuel prices are too high. Somebody can do something about it, and that somebody is you. The people who sit under your employ in an executive position as your cabinet, one of them being the Ministry of Energy, can do something about it. We've heard the solution that has been given. Oftentimes, there has been indictment on people who are who judge critically and say, well, you don't offer a solution. Well, there's a man who sits as the Member of Parliament for Ekeharu constituency, and he's given you a formula that you could actually enact today. You could do it today. But what stops you from doing that? And these are the questions that Kenyans are asking this morning. The nation is crippled. Look at all your comments that are coming in on socials today in the thousands, and what we're hearing from people today. This has to change. And perhaps this is a sign, if it comes now, that it doesn't look as though we'll have service vehicles on the roads today, and that we're probably going to have a later part of the day, which is a little bit more stressful for many people than the day has begun. And people are starting to ask questions about how they're going to get home and how they're going to do the basic things. People are asking questions about what they're going to eat today because they needed to move. People are asking questions about the normal 30, 40, 50 shillings that they pay will now become 130, 140, 150, 300. And what is going to be done about that today? Were you calling their bluff to imagine that they wouldn't get out into the streets? Well, that's where people are. And you have to ask the question and tell you, dear Mr. President, the fuel prices are too high. It's 10 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the news. I'm Sheila Tembur. Fuel prices will remain unchanged until the next review in June, even as the government says it will continue monitoring global and local market trends. Speaking in an interview with the local TV station, Treasury CS John Badi said the next fuel pricing review is scheduled for June 14th, with authorities assessing whether existing interventions will be sustained or adjusted depending on available resources. He noted the possible measures, including tax adjustments, may be considered if prices rise further.
What the government is prepared to do is to monitor the situation. We have the next review by 14th of June. The government is not sensitive enough to look at that review and see the impact it will have. Right now, we know the price of petroleum products as they come, because the prices that will be announced in June, already we can determine the prices because the ships have been loaded and all that. So this, we will look at the subsidy kitty that we have, the 5 billion, and look at if that is not going to be sufficient. It's going to lead to higher prices. Then what do we do? Then we may now come again and see if we can reduce the levy, especially maybe VAT. And if we reduce VAT, we will have to check then what do we cut in terms of expenditure.
Badi also addressed the ongoing Matatu strike over fuel prices, saying the government has already cushioned consumers through previous interventions and warning against what he termed rash decision driven by emotion. He argued that local prices reflect global market shocks, including geopolitical tensions affecting oil supply.
I think the strike is completely uncalled for, even though the prices of petroleum products have risen. It's completely uncalled for because we need to understand why these prices have gone up. Number one, if you take the prices of petroleum products on the 28th of February 2026, when the war broke out, I will give you just one example. The price of diesel, what they call the Platts price or index price, without adding the premiums, was at 642 per metric ton. Now that has risen today to 1,120 per metric ton. That is an increase of 76% of the prices. Now look at how the prices have changed in Kenya. That diesel, the price from February to now has risen by about 55%. Therefore, it means that already the government has absorbed about over 20% before you bring in the premiums to the price.
He further indicated that the government will reconvene discussions on fuel mitigation measures after President William Ruto returns from an official trip to Azerbaijan.
We can only hope that this war will end. But as we